better trainer than Brad Cox.
This is one of those races that makes this game, reminds me why this game's so hard. It's like anytime you try to get cute and beat what you think is not a great wager, they open up and win by 5, and then you always have that in the back of your head when you're looking again, like, can I toss this horse? This horse is going to beat me. It's one that kind of messes with you when you're trying to make good decisions.
Yeah, it's one of the worst things is remembering past beats and then having that influence future wagers and then just mess you up all over again.
It's hard. It's an objectivity question. You know, it's hard. And sometimes, especially when you have involvement and you lost money or something. Bubby Boy, I will take my chances when next time, first time starter Bubby Boy runs against this crew. I don't think he ever saw the inside of the 5 path. And I think Bubby Boy draws inside, he probably would have won the race.
Shortleaf Stable had talked about going to be using this barn along with a couple others. Lindsey Schultz getting a win for them. Francisco Arrieta. Look at today's action presented by Claiborne Farm. Races 3 through 7 still to come here in New York, where we are fast on the main track. And as you saw, Sloppy going in Hot Springs. We'll get you started off in that late pick 5. Still ahead. Play all the action. Get signed up. Started with Naira Bets. The offer, $200 deposit match. Sign up bonus. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime with that promo code MATCH200 at NairaBets.com. All right, let's set up race 3 here in New York. An allowance optional claiming field, 6.5 furlong sprint, 4 to 5 favoritism. Let her inspire you. Todd Pletcher, beaten favorite each of the last 2 starts.
I want no part of this horse in this race. I know she's run okay sprinting, but to me, this turn back and Todd Pletcher does not have great numbers. Cutting back from routes to sprints is a move of desperation, and I think both the 1 Lilu, who's a favorite to wire the field, and the 2 Unsolved Mystery are very interesting alternatives.
Yeah, I mean, I much prefer the 1 Lilu as well, but the problem is that the 4 has run pretty well around 1 turn and has numbers that could absolutely, with a little bit of pace to close into, could have let her inspire. You kind of do what the 7 at Oaklawn just did to us. Take an opinion where you should try to play against this horse, and then she wins by 4.
The good news is that she'll have a little bit of pace, absolutely no pace whatsoever to close into. And I don't disagree that she's run well sprinting, but I don't want to hear the wet tracks as an excuse because she's handled wet tracks before. She ran poorly in both of her last 2 starts, and I don't want this barn with horses coming off of bad races. I want this barn coming off of good races, especially at the preposterous 3 to 5 she currently
That is short right now, 4 for 10, but again, beaten at short prices each of the last 2. Post-parade when we come back, and we'll look ahead to the weekend on the road to that first Saturday in May. Grade 2 Rebel from Oaklawn, verifying. Brad Cox sending out off a big 3-year-old debut. We'll be back.
A Grade 1 winner of nearly $2 million, Silver State hails from the sire line of legendary Claiborne stallion Danzig. And his second dam is full sister to Kentucky Derby winner Monarchos. After winning the Oaklawn Handicap, Silver State defeated Knicks Go in the Grade 1 Metropolitan Handicap. On the board in 12 of 14 starts from ages 2 to 4, his career included a 6-race winning streak. Grade 1 winner Silver State, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back with you on our FS2 coverage. America's Day at the Races brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual. Unusually well. Cross-country Pick 5 coming up this weekend. Anchor leg, you see there. $1 million Grade 2 Rebel on the road to the Kentucky Derby. Begins with that 7th at Aqueduct. Kicks off at 3:55 Eastern Time. Always a lightning quick and fun Pick 5 to go after. In terms of the Rebel, major Derby points on the line. Win this race, essentially you are into the Derby. And verifying for Brad Cox has drawn the rail off that 97 buyer in the 3-year-old debut.
And look, at least he's got some speed, and he's got a trainer who usually allows his horses that have speed to use it. The rail shouldn't be a problem for him because he has that speed.
His last race was very good. Horses have run well out of that race. There's no reason to not believe that potent 97 buyer that he ran, and he's very dangerous. He's got to deal with Reincarnate, an ex-Bob Baffert that comes in here in New Connection so that he can get points for the Kentucky Derby. I think the morning line is wrong. I believe Reincarnate will be vying for favoritism with Verified, though I do think Verified will be favored. I don't believe there's any way he'll be third choice.
Grade 3 Sham winner out west, Santa Anita, when he was under Bob Baffert's care, now with Tim Yakteen. Take a look at that Sham win.
The only reason, Andy, I think that the line could be right in terms of him not being the favorite. I don't know if he'll be as high as 7-2. That seems a little hard to believe. But him not being the favorite, as you see right here in the bottom left corner, Reincarnate was 16-1. There were 3 Baffert runners in there. He was not supposed to win this race. He hasn't been overly highly regarded from the barn. I don't think that he'll be as buzzy as some of the other horses.
I hear you on that, but, you know, he beat a horse that came back and ran 100 buyer in his next start before unfortunately getting hurt and going onto the shelf. That makes a certain amount of sense. I mean, Giant Mischief is a talented horse, but I think if he ends up being a top 3-year-old, it's going to be in races like the Woody Stevens and the Alan Jerkins, not in races going a distance. I think that Brad is probably trying another distance race because they've got to be on the Derby trail at this point, but if it doesn't work out, you'll very quickly see him go back to the shorter races.
You got to try it. This time of the year, you have a horse that maybe wants to go 7 furlongs. You got to try him going 9 just to double check.
It's okay to fail in the right spots. You know, sometimes failing is a lot better than not running at all. You don't want to know, maybe I should have run him in those races. They tried
Last year, I seem to recall a horse who shouldn't have been in the race winning it.
It happened.
We're talking about distance more. It's a different question. It's sort of like Jackie's Warrior, who ran, I think, the Southwest or the Rebel, one of those. And as soon as Steve Ashley realized this is not a router, they turned him into a pretty good horse.
Here's the upcoming road to the Derby. The schedule, of course, we'll have that Rebel for you tomorrow. Fountain of Youth, Forte's return, March 4th, the reigning 2-year-old champ. Gotham here in New York, going to cut back to a mile in that race. And it's looking like a very strong field that's going to line up there. And then out west, San Felipe and Turfway with that John Battaglia Memorial. So things heating up and more points on the line, essentially guaranteeing, if they want to go on with it, being able to run in that Kentucky Derby. Back to live action here, this third at Aqueduct. And wow, this remaining 3 to 5 here. Let her inspire you for Todd Pletcher. Meanwhile, Lilu for David Duggan. Jose Lezcano will be aboard from that inside post. We look back to December 9th, 2 back in a win with that 80 buyer.
And Lilu is favored in doubles, and while there's no CAW money in the win pool, you're going to see these odds get much closer together than they should. Lilu's been in terrific form. She met some tough horses last time, and I also think if they want to be aggressive with her, they could be in front here on what may be a moderate pace, though I think Unsolved Mystery, who I like Jonathan, will be right there as well early.
Yeah, Lilu's pace figures last time, the higher the better, like a speed figure. They were so fast that you're right, Andy. If she wants the lead, I don't care if anyone else tries to get it. If she wants it, it's hers to have. It just depends on what Jose Lezcano tries to do. My advice to someone who's never sat on the horse's back is for Jose to be aggressive away from there and try to wire this field. That's his best chance of beating a horse like Let Her Inspire You. You don't want to invite her into the race.
Right, but the point that you make is that so much of the way these paces set up is about intention by riders as much as anything else, and I agree with everything you said overall.
Riders up, there's Jose Lezcano, leg up on Lilu. Taking over for Kendrick Carmouche on this runner, although Lezcano had rode this horse to a couple of victories. There's Impossible Donna, who's coming in off a win in the mud the last time that we saw her 6-year-old mare.
Yeah, you know, listen, Impossible Donna has at times run well, and her last race was okay. I don't think she's impossible here. I just thought this was a tough race.
Well, it is her name.
It is definitely her name.
Had to go there. All right, here we're going to start off with Lilu in here for David Duggan. Again, 4 for 10, 3 of those wins coming here at Aqueduct.
She's really gotten her act together. I think some people mistakenly thought she was a wet track horse because her first 2 wins were on wet tracks, but she handles any surface and Jonathan and I both think she should be forward.
That's one with the ability to be forward as well, though she was not last start.
Yeah, you know, look, the synthetic races in her last 2, but that dirt race 3 back makes her definitely a player in here.
Here's Donna, the 6-year-old return for her.
Apparently, Greg likes horses with the name Donna in them. I'm going to get to the bottom of this before the year is up.
Richie Valens fan, Donna.
Oh.
Let her inspire you. Beaten favorite, last 2 even money. At least gone the right way if you like her.
She has run well at 1 turn. It depends on the pace. If she gets invited into this race, she will run by all these horses late. We'll see what happens with the pace.
Any chance outside with Mon Petit Chou?
Well, every horse is a chance, but she is overmatched on paper. And if you took 500 to 1 that Richie Valens would get a mention on today's show, you've already cashed.
Did we offer that wager?
He's a newcomer to the show. I don't think we've had a Richie Valens mention.
I don't think we have either.
Did the Big Bopper get in here at some point?
That was 500 to 1, but there's another Richie that was much shorter odds.
You talking about the Mig?
You sure I trying to steal your job there?
That was a good transition. Mig, how you
kind of
doing?
bobbled it.
Well, I'll lead off with, well, hello, baby. I think that this race is a really tough race to handicap on paper because there's just not a clear-cut speed. There's speed, and I think that this horse is with similar amount of speed. So I talked to connections. I talked with Dave Duggan, with Lilu. He said, you know, ideally she's better probably stalking, but from the rail they're not going to take anything away that comes easy. He's going to leave it mostly in Jose Lezcano's hands, but it gave me the impression they're going to at least try to create separation. And I know if I was riding the one, I'm coming out running. And if you really want it, at least it's going to create the separation I need to give myself options. The 2 Unsolved Mystery certainly has speed. You know, Dylan Davis rides his best when he was aggressive. He put a horse in the lead in the last race, but there's been a couple times I've seen slight mental lapses with Dylan where he goes back to a little bit of the complacency, and I just think he's much more successful. I mean, obviously, leading rider in New York last year when he is aggressive. So I think intention's going to mean a lot here. And then talked with Bruce Levine with Impassable Donna. He puts Jose Torres on, an apprentice I've been very impressed with. Does not look like an apprentice finishing. He got a terrific hand ride. He's tutored by the incomparable Angel Cordero. And, you know, Bruce handicaps the race well. And I asked him what his thoughts were. And he said, well, his filly's going to show speed and should be involved and let it sort out from there. So if everybody plays their hand and is aggressive early, maybe we'll get a halfway legitimate pace.
Yeah, we will see how this plays out early on in here. Post time coming up. Start of the pick 6 here.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are different ways to look at it. You know, I think you have to handicap and play multis in different ways depending on it. If you had some price idea that you were leaning very heavily on a race, you don't want to let her inspire you beat you. For me, if I was playing in here, I would take a shot and just use the 1 and 2 and let her inspire beat you. But that's depends really what you're doing in other legs. Every decision you make in a multi-race bet, and I think you agree, Jonathan, is based on what you're doing in the other legs.
Yeah,
Nothing is independent.
And it also depends on what is your goal, which is basically the same thing you're saying. I'll have people call me that are going to the racetrack for the first time, and they'll like say, hey, can you send me some picks? I'm going to the track. And I say, well, how much money do you want to spend? And what is your goal? Do you want to just double that money? Do you want to just make sure you come back with as much as you can? Or do you want to
win a couple races? I'll give you a horse, might probably pay 360 if it wins.
Because it changes.
Do you want some long shots and maybe get lucky with a winner?
Exactly, because to your point, if they want to see the ball go through the hoop, I am not going to tell them to leave the 4 off of this entry.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question. If somebody comes to you like that, and the 1 and 4 are going to be fairly similar prices, and said, I just want to bet one of these horses to win, would you tell them bet the 1 or the 4?
If they go off at the same price?
Yeah.
The 4.
Really?
Yeah.
I would bet the 1.
Because
I think the 1's more likely winner.
I
actually do.
It's close. I think the 4 is a better animal.
She was, but she has a look to me. This looks to me like hey, let's take a shot. She sprinted okay earlier in her career. She's not going the right race. This race came up. Let's take a shot, you know, cutting back. But Todd Pletcher cutting back, he's 19% with almost 200 stars with a $1.23 ROI. One of the many remarkable things about Todd Pletcher is that he has consistent stats where he has $1.75 ROIs, which somebody could say, well, that's a losing ROI. It's above the takeout for a guy whose horses are habitually overbet. He actually does remarkably well in stats. This is something that has a look of a desperation move. Greg, you have any thoughts?
It's just rare that you see from, and look, everyone has horses like this that go the wrong way. It's horse racing. But it's rare to see a horse that was going very good from this barn sort of start to go the wrong way.
I think there's many excuses. I think if you look hard enough, you can make excuses for her last 2. Last 2, tough company off of a break. And then
really?
And then the next
last
start,
time?
No, 2 back. And then last time, 9 furlongs on a sloppy racetrack.
Know-it-all Audrey, she ran a 66 Buyer.
No, I was talking 2 back with Venti Valentine.
Yeah, but Venti Valentine had good form. I mean, she lost to horses that are. I'm going to disagree with you guys. I think that this horse, and this can happen to any barn, is a horse that got good, that has turned the corner the wrong way. I'm not. If she wins, I'll lose. I won't be shocked, but I'll lose. But to me, she's just gone the wrong way. And you've got a horse like Lilu, who's in terrific form.
The good news about this game is that we will have an answer to this question in about 1 minute and 15 seconds.
The discussion is the best way to learn about the game is to have differing opinions on a race, because there's always a lot of differing opinions in a race, and sometimes all the opinions end up being wrong. I'm hoping it is, and Unsolved Mystery wins.
We'll find out. Let her inspire you for Pletcher, the 4, the favorite with Manny Franco. It's pick 6 time. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
And they're off. Broken a good line. Impossible Donna's got early speed in between horses. Let Her Inspire You is up on the outside, and at the rail it's Lilu. Lilu now with the neck in front. Right there in the 2-path comes Unsolved Mystery, who's going to challenge as well. The one at the back is Mon Petit Chou. They are 4 across the racetrack here as they work up the backstretch, and to the inside it's Lilu. Lilu is ahead in front, gets pressure right to the outside from Unsolved Mystery, 2 wide. Let Her Inspire You is now in the 3-path, is under a drive here as they work into the far turn with less than 4 furlongs to go, and they went quickly. 22.66 for the opening quarter mile. Losing some ground is Impossible Donna. The trailer is Mon Petit Chou, but has plenty of pace to chase. They're 3 across the racetrack. Lilu is at the rail. In between horses is Unsolved Mystery, and Let Her Inspire You is up on the outside. Still 3 across the track. They approach a quarter mile left to go. Impossible Donna is not making up any ground. Mon Petit Chou from the back of the pack is still 5 off the lead. Let Her Inspire You is now a nose in front. Unsolved Mystery is right to her inside. They went 46.29 for that half. Let Her Inspire You is now stretching this margin out, is up by a length and a half. Now 2. Let Her Inspire You. It's a late rally on the grandstand side from Mon Petit Chou. A 16th to go. Let Her Inspire You is trying to put him away. Lilu and Unsolved Mystery chase. Let Her Inspire You. Hard-fought victory. Tight there for second. It's a photo between Lilu to the inside of Unsolved Mystery in 1 minute 19.61 seconds.
Let Her Inspire You. After back-to-back defeats, is the favorite. Gets it done at even money.
Betting was right. I was dead wrong. I was against this horse. She ran very well. She was right on top of the pace. She didn't fall into a win, and she was best.
This is just a scenario in which where if she stayed connected, I thought she would grind them away because she was better than them. But look, I picked Lilu. I thought Lilu was going to open up. From a pace figure standpoint, she looked to have an edge to really open up and get comfortable on the front end, but she was being breathed on by your horse that you picked, Andy, the 2 Unsolved Mystery and the 4 Let Her Inspire the entire time, and she just couldn't sustain it.
Short price, 4-1-2-5, and yeah, Let Her Inspire You. Returning, finding some of that somewhat backlash yet, at least against this group here, to get it done at a short price to kick off the pick 6. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. 3rd from Oaklawn, Maggie Wolfendale we'll still hear from on site in Hot Springs. More from Paulie as well. Stay with us. We're back. Shortest break in the history of television.
That was fast. I'm glad one of us didn't run to the restroom. We'd have been in big trouble.
Get on back here. 3rd at Oaklawn. Take a look at the current odds. It was Westover back in race number 2. 3rd race here, 6 furlong sprint. Starter optional claiming group, Dixie Fury. 9-5 on the board right now for Norm Casse, who is having the meet of a lifetime.
These horses have been on fire, and I think it may extend to the horse that he lost in its debut, Cactus. One horse we covered that cost $300,000. They lost for $30,000, but I think they may be happy in the long run that they lost the horse for $30,000.
Got the favorite here. He's got Pretty Birdie coming up at the carousel over the weekend. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale for more.
Yeah, here with Norm Casse, experiencing quite a nice meet up here, Norm. What kind of has led to this success, in your opinion? It seems as though you've really just brought the right horses.
I think that's a big part of it. I think we've just had a lot of luck. I mean, we were sitting on wins from Churchill that we should have won, and we've just you know, being a trainer's wife, you know, sometimes everything can go right and then the jock will ride the horse poorly or something. That has not happened to us. Everything just seems to be going right. The riders are riding the right races, and I don't know, we've just been very lucky.
Well, like a trainer's wife, I will knock on wood for you. But let's talk a little bit about Pretty Birdie. What a comeback after a disastrous Belmont, losing both those glue-on shoes that day. But it was good to see her back to the races in fine form last time.
Yeah, we've been really excited about her. She was actually, a lot of people don't know this, but she was by design going to get time off anyways after, I guess that race was a Jersey girl. And we would have liked to bring her back earlier, but there was just no races for her. And then finally it was like, all right, well, there's this race here at the end of in December here at Oaklawn. Let's just point to that. But she, ever since we gave her the time off, she's like a different horse. And I know she's talented before, but now she's professional. I don't feel like she has to have the lead like she did before. She just is doing things much more professional way. So it'll be very exciting to see her run against a really tough field tomorrow and see what happens.
Now, she's always been one that has, you know, that ability, as you mentioned, but she always seemed like one that had the potential to grow into herself. Have you seen that from her physically?
I think you'll see her tomorrow in the paddock and you'll realize, wow, she's put on a lot of weight. She just looks like a more imposing racehorse. It's just, everything seems to be going right with her right now.
You mentioned she doesn't have to have the lead. Do you think you're fastest, though, over Yaguri?
I do, but I'm saying in a scenario, and believe me, I'm not going to take away what is her natural best asset, but let's say she does stumble from the gate. I'd rather, instead of just send to get the lead, now let's be comfortable. You can be patient today. You don't have to go. Hopefully she breaks on top and never looks back.
Wishing you the best of luck. As always, thank you so much for your time, and good luck here.
All right, thank you.
All right, Norm Casse with Pretty Birdie tomorrow, guys. Looking forward to that showdown between her and Yaguri in the carousel.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see those two go at it, throwing Samurai Charm there as well from that outside post. Carousel is going to be fun to watch. But Norm Casse, 53% at this meet. There's the favorite he's sending out. He's winning with all kinds. He's winning with sprinters stretching out. That seems like they shouldn't have the pedigree to stretch out. It's been the run of a life here, and see if he can keep it going.
And after saying before a race last week that he was going to experience a regression of the mean and prove me wrong quite easily, maybe it'll just keep up the whole meet, Jonathan.
It's hard to hit the board 53% of the time, let alone get your picture taken. It's an outstanding start to Norm's. What is this, his fourth year on his own, fourth year?
Something like that. You know, I mean, obviously what he said, and we talked about that before, it's the question of his trainer, say, bringing the right horses to the meet. And as he said, a lot of horses sitting on wins, horses that had taken some tough beats in prior races, ready to win. It's not like he's winning with outlandish horses, but I don't care who you are and where you are, coming in and winning at that kind of level is very, very impressive. But Norm's a very good trainer, and I think some people will forget how much success his father had when Norm was his assistant trainer.
He was a big part of it.
Yep.
Yeah, Google Teppen if you have any questions about that. Norm was with her every step of the way.
Well, some of the main competition for Dixie Fury, Norm Cassie's colt in here outside, backside Buzz, the 7. 9-2 right now for Thomas Vance. And this is backside Buzz back on February 3rd in a victory in the mud.
I think people are looking at the fact that he's run okay on 2 wet tracks, sealed tracks. Horses like this, Jonathan, I never know what to do with him because his last race is a stick-out figure. If he runs it, he can easily win this race. If he runs his other races, he has no chance.
You know, look, I think these 3 outside horses, the 5, the 6, and the 7, are all very close, and I'd have a hard time separating them. I guess you would take the 7 on price. But Backside Buzz ran well last time, and it's young, progressive horses, and he did it against maiden special weight, which I think is also at least something to take into a little – it was Arkansas breds, but take into consideration.
It was Arkansas breds. Take that into consideration.
But then, you know,
he ran a big figure. He ran a big
75,
number.
ran okay.
He ran a big
okay
number.
2 back.
I would let him beat me.
And I like the outside draw. I say it all the time at Oaklawn. I like the outside draw with tactical horses. I think staying in the clear, that trip wins a lot there.
Looking at Oaklawn, for me, I think there's a similarity to Saratoga as you get a lot of shippers, because obviously they're only open for this meet. I think it's important to look at tracks horses ship in from to do well. I think we've seen Remington Park form not hold up. I'm always reticent of that Louisiana form. And the 5's form is terrific. Those races look legitimate, but are they going to be reproduced at Oaklawn? And I think that's a big question here because those races are good that the 5 ran.
Yeah.
Who's the favorite now, by the way? 82 Beyer in that last out effort, and it's been a steady forward progression all 3 starts for him.
And Jackhammer, who beat him, is a pretty nice horse, at least based on the form down there. I just have trouble just believing they're going to be repeated there.
Paul, help us out here. Where are you going to wind up?
Well, you know, I thought it was a difficult race. You know, when you look at the outside 4 runners in here, I think a lot of people are sort of leaving Cactus out of it. You know, I talked to Norm after that race, and he sort of said, man, hopefully this horse doesn't bite me in the butt a little bit. He was kind of a horse that couldn't break really well from the gate, and that's exactly what happened first time out, and the horse actually rallied on to win. And, you know, coming right back for Randy Morse in quick fashion, I could see this horse repeating. I'm a little bit surprised that the 5, Mark's Promise, is not your favorite, actually, because, you know, the horse comes out of really live races for Carl Broberg, and, you know, so I can understand where everybody's going with Dixie Fury because Norm is so hot. I will say this, though. If you look at Backside Buzz, since he's been gelded throughout the 2 route races, and since he's gotten Lasix, completely different horse, and he loved the slop last time. I think the 7's got a giant shot in here at 3-1.
Yeah, price just clicks down now for Backside Buzz, so we'll see if he can repeat that form from what we saw last time out. Sort of a standout in 10 career races. Can he back it up? Vic Stauffer, here we go, 3rd from Oaklawn Park.
They're at the post. They're off. Rhythm Nick, Dixie Fury, Mark's Promise, Backside Buzz, and Eli's Promise. 5 of them race out. Cactus comes away running second to last. He's 6th behind that 5-some up front. And the trailer is Atkins, Eli's Promise, and Rhythm Nick up the backstretch. Eli's Promise a neck in front. Rhythm Nick is second by a length and a half to Mark's Promise and Dixie Fury. Cactus is 5th at the rail, and he's 4 off the lead with Backside Buzz just outside of him. And the trailer is still Atkins, and the leader is still Eli's Promise. Eli's Promise, 3 furlongs from the money from Rhythm Nick in second. These 2 have now opened up 3 lengths on Cactus, who's moving nicely from the inside. And here comes Cactus within 2 of the front. Dixie Fury is going up and down right now. He'll have to re-rally and chase Cactus at the top of the stretch. Rhythm Nick, Eli's Promise, and a 3-wide Cactus. And here comes Cactus all the way up to take over the lead. Now Dixie Fury is kicking into gear, and he's got a chance to run down Cactus, and Backside Buzz does as well. Cactus a final 16th. A 2-length lead on Rhythm Nick, Backside Buzz, Cactus, Rhythm Nick, Backside Buzz. It is Cactus. Now 2 for 2. Cactus in front. Cactus won a length and a quarter. Backside Buzz got second. Rhythm Nick 3rd. Atkins finished 4th.
Debut winner, start number 2. Cactus 2 for 2 for 2 different barns. 1 for Norm Casse in that debut.
Yeah, and look, you got to be honest, though, when a guy's winning at 53%, you don't really look for people to claim off of him and win. But maybe that's kind of what Norm was talking about, spotting horses in the right places and having them show up and run well. Maybe that horse, this is a good claim by Randy Morse.
Listen, he got immediately paid for it. He got basically his money back from it. Bought him claim for 30. The winning purse is 30,000. Got a good trip, and he ran today. Was it the wet track? I don't know. This horse really ran. He was a winner kind of most of the way coming through, and I guess if you're Norm, it's doubly frustrating, right? You ran the favorite, didn't run well, and then a horse that you gave up on comes back and beats you in that race. We'll see. But right now, good claim for 30,000, that's for sure.
4-7-3 finish. And Dixie Fury not part of it for Norm Casse, but a horse that was in his barn and won first time out. Comes right back and wins for Randy Morse off the claim. All the prices for you, 9-2 on your winner. When we come back, stay with us. More ahead from Oaklawn and Aqueduct late pick 5 time in New York when we return.
Here comes Malathon. Here comes Clariere on the outside, and it's got to be Clariere. Nest, much the best. She won by better than 10 lengths.
And Elite Power gets up to win the sprint. Outside it's Malathon coming to the wire. Who's it gonna be? Here's the wire. Oh, the wish has come true. That one's for you, Cody.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
by the ultra-talented McKinsey. McKinsey Preservationist Vino Rosso and Yoshida. McKinsey's in front.
McKinsey, they've done it. McKinsey has it by 2.
It's McKinsey in a dominant performance. Pure class in the Malibu.
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. And the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn. Come be a part of this historic season at Arkansas's only casino resort.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage, brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Back in the third at Aqueduct. There's your winner. Let her inspire you. Todd Pletcher, Manny Franco, CHC Inc., and now 5 for 11. This filly who gets back to, she had shown some promise. Kind of went the wrong way last couple of starts. Looked good here.
Yeah, maybe just the one turn kind of helped. I also think the scenario worked out really well for her today. So I wouldn't get carried away that she's like quote unquote back. She got a really, really nice trip and a great scenario against 2 horses that she's probably better than, that she sat right on top of the entire way around there.
Listen, I thought she ran well off of 2 bad performances. Whether or not, what she goes from here, we'll see. But listen, I didn't expect her to win, and she ran well. She was much the best.
4-1-2 finish. Late pick 5 is next. Begins with a $16,000 claiming race. Horses who have not won 2 lifetime. At 7/8 of a mile. Odds on Brisky Frolic on the drop down in class for a new barn. Claimed off of David Jacobson. Now with Michelle Giangiulio, and there is the odds on Daughter of Frosted. Showed speed last out on a wet track and backed up against tougher. We'll have the post break when we come back. Back with you on America's Day at the Races. Richest race in the world. Live coverage tomorrow on FS2 beginning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time with the $20 million Saudi Cup from Riyadh. 4th edition of this race, and Bob Baffert has gone on record saying if Country Grammar doesn't win it, or if Taiba doesn't win it, I should say, Country Grammar will. Very confident. Bob Baffert going into the Saudi Cup. Our own Lafitte Pinkai is there with more on the big one.
A long way from New York City sits King Abdulaziz Racecourse in Riyadh as the excitement builds on this eve of the world's richest horse race. Tomorrow, the $20 million Saudi Cup. Trackside, welcome everyone. I'm Lafitte Pinkai. Offer up a $20 million purse. And what happens? About what you'd expect. A lot of interest from some of the most prominent figures in the sport. Owners, trainers, jockeys, and of course, an all-star cast of thoroughbreds, starting with the top-ranked 4-year-old in North America, Taiba, acting like a 4-year-old Thursday morning. Is that nervous energy? Or just feeling good? We'll find out tomorrow night. Plus the rematch. Last year's top 2 finishers. Emblem Road. Can the hometown hero defend his title? Country Grammar out to spoil the party with Frankie Dettori in the saddle as the legendary rider's global farewell tour continues. It's the Saudi Cup on Fox Sports 2 tomorrow. Coverage begins 8 Eastern, the golden hour at noon. And of course, you can wager on the Saudi Cup at nairabets.com.
Again, our live coverage begins 8 a.m. Eastern tomorrow on FS2. And of course, you can play it all with Naira Bets as well. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Go to nairabets.com, get signed up and started. Late pick 5 is next on our Friday card here, 7/8 of a mile. As we told you, non-winners of 2 Life, 16 claiming race, and all that money going to Brisky Frolic with the drop down in class.
And this is a race I think a lot of us will want to remember, you know, whether you have children, grandchildren. In the future, you can say that I was participating in the race at Aqueduct the day that Heman Harkey was an odds-on favorite in the morning line. Because, like Haley's Comet, doesn't happen too often.
You know, at some point,
I like Heman Harkey.
I didn't knock Heman. How often is he 4 to 5 morning line?
Well, Irad was 4 to 5 for the first time at some point in his career.
Quite an analogy there. That's why we bring you in, the analogy king. I mean, isn't she supposed to go to the front? If somebody beats her, I don't know who it is.
Yeah, I mean, yes. She was claimed for 25. She's in for 16. With 10 strike involved, they're not the type that are going to hold on to something that they realize they need to move on from. So I wouldn't get carried away with that move.
Michelle Giangilio has not had a lot of success off the claim. She's 2 for 25 since starting out training on her own in the last 2 years. But, I mean, I don't trust this horse, but in this field, one thing about Heman, he has no problem going to the lead with a speed horse. He goes.
No, not at all.
No, I love that about him. I'm not knocking him. I'm fine with him. He wins, but he doesn't ride too many 4 to 5 morning lines.
Similar drop for this one as well, coming out of 25 non-winners to Freudian, who we'll get to as we approach the 5-minute mark to post. Coming up this weekend, race 8 on the Saturday card, 1-turn mile in the Stymie 4-year-olds and up. And Repo rocks. Where did that toboggan performance come from?
And that's the problem with trainers that win at a high percentage. They have had numerous horses improve dramatically when switched to their care. And this horse improved pretty substantially for him and then ran a race. To put into perspective to people, he ran a 111 buyer. Cody's Wish, who won the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, ran a 112 buyer when he beat Jackie's Warrior in the Forgo. So that's how good this performance was. And if he runs within 5 lengths of it tomorrow, he will win this race. But it's the only race he's ever run, and the other races, while good, make him a player. I'm not trying to beat him, but that's the problem with trainer. Do you trust this horse to do this anything? And the trainer's saying, oh, I expect him to run that race again.
Well, yeah, if he runs a 111 buyer again, then he's a favorite for the Met Mile.
Yeah, no. I mean,
31 prior starts, he never ran a race like that.
Never anywhere close. And it is a trainer who I think is currently involved. Is there a medication situation in Parks? And he wins at a very high percentage. But nonetheless, he ran that race. And as horse players, it makes it difficult because it's, how do you trust it? Now, listen, he could still win this race off his prior 2 races for Jamie's Nest. But off that effort, he's 1-9 to win this race.
Yeah, and he's going to be a shorter price because of the number. So you have to ask yourself, I mean, I would err on the side as he'll probably run it again.
Or somewhere close. He's only got to run, if he runs 100 buyer, he's probably going to win. I mean, and the other thing is that Miles D, who's the second likeliest winner, he's a very hard horse to trust for Chad Brown. Just his second race coming back, and his first race was a disaster, but he does get away from Gulfstream.
That was the Hooper at Gulfstream, not what you expect when he was sent off the favorite, 7th beat 11 lengths. Part of the stymie, and along with that gander earlier on the card, that cross-country pick 5, there's the schedule. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the Saturday Stakes schedule. Gander back in race 3, not part of that.
I thought it was a pick 5 too, Greg, so don't feel bad. You have good company.
We just all wished it was a pick 5.
That would be a good one, wouldn't it?
Be nice.
Some nice races in there. The Gander's a small field, but I think it's a very competitive race.
I see any 5 races together. I'm just hoping it's a pick 5.
It's a good point. Yeah, we could stand a few more of them. 2 to 5 here, deservingly the horse to beat, but this is getting
It's a hard horse to take at 2 to 5, just because the form isn't that great, as Jonathan said. Claim dropped down, but you look at Freudian. Freudian sort of fell apart for Peter Walder, and Riley Falcone hasn't gotten terrible performances out of her next 2, but she really hasn't done any running in those races. And then there's Sweet Sensation, the 2. Where are her races that stack up? And I just think the 4 will probably wire the field, but man, 1 to 2, 2 to 5, you just think they're supposed to look better than that, aren't they?
Here's our post where we start with Sweet Sensation, who inherits the rail with a scratch of the 1.
Yeah, she doesn't break particularly well drawn from the inside. She'll need to break better to beat this group.
Here's the 3, Midmont, just 1 for 16.
She's lost her last 2 races by a combined 98 lengths.
1 to 2 favorite for the new barn.
It's not too often you see a 1 to 2 shot who's lost their last 2 races by 20 lengths.
Predetermined, Jason Huayas, Gary Siaka.
She's lost her last 4 races by 61 lengths. She just hasn't been competitive.
And if it's not the odds-on favorite, it looks like it could be this filly here. Blinkers come off.
I couldn't keep the length thing going. It wasn't nearly as interesting. Freudian, 7 lengths in the last.
Well, you had had some fractions there at 7 3/4. And that we don't expect advanced math from you, Jonathan.
Pick 5 pool 109,000 and growing. Let's see how they look and head downstairs to Mig.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. And listen, 2 horses that make the most sense on paper to me actually do stand out the most physically. Starting with the 4, Brisky Frolic, just looks like lone speed here. Horse ran for the first time with blinkers last time. Michelle John Julio is back, much more of a shorter, almost cheater cup, if you will. And she wants to see this filly clear. She looks like she's controlling speed. And the key to riding speed horses is allowing them to open up. Don't entertain anybody. Allow them to think they have a chance to engage you. That's how you get hooked up in duels. So Heeman Harkey, who does not lack confidence, guys, I will tell you this, and I think he rides fine, actually told me a few weeks ago I should come on out there and he'll show me a thing or 2. So I like a rider with a little swagger, and that's certainly swagger for sure. The 6 Freudian will be my top selection. I like the outside post for this horse. The blinkers come off. Really in a good coat for Rob Falcone, who does good work. She's a filly that has an ulcerated inside eye. She sees out of it, it's fine. It's something she had from when she was a young horse, a paddock accident. But I also think outside post position help horses like this that may be able to see, but maybe be slightly compromised from a vision standpoint, not maybe that perfect 20/20 vision. And I know, Andy, you don't think a lot about the kickback, but with horses like that particularly, I do think it makes a difference, and I like the outside post. Plus, you get an apprentice. Jose Torres gets in with 113 pounds in receipt of 10 pounds from your favorite.
But the favorite is Heeman Harkey, Richie. He's worth at least the 10.
I got no issues with Heeman Harkey.
I don't either. I'm just laughing because he doesn't ride even money shots. He rides prices. I would guess the ROI on Heeman's horses are just fine because he's not riding short-priced horses. And he's one of these riders that you almost like sometimes because he's really trying as hard as he can. Not to say others aren't, but, with these lesser horses. I just think it's very unusual to see Heeman Harkey riding an even odds-on favorite.
Outside of these 2, the 4 and the 6, I mean, look, nature of this condition is lack of consistency. But do you see anyone winning this race?
I see a race where 4 horses will deservedly lose this race. Listen, this is not a super competitive race. I mean, it's very hard to make a case of the 2 who's better, or the 2 who's probably a better turf horse, and it's connections that don't win here. And yeah, she had a little trouble last time, but she was absolutely terrible, beating 20 lengths, finishing 3rd. I mean, what do you do here? I think that Brisky Frolic is going to wire the field. Would I ever bet her at 3 to 5? No. But I tell you what, if somebody said to me, "Here's $100, you can bet on the 4 or 6," I would bet the 4 every time.
Yeah.
Because I don't trust the 6.
They spend that money, too. I'll answer your question a little bit, Wolfie. The 3 and the 5 cannot win. I know that it's horse racing, anything can happen, but no, it can't. The 3 and the 5
They're very
cannot
low
win
on the scale of, yeah.
I mean, they're both beaten. I mean, I'm joking, but I think they're both beaten 250 lengths in their last 6, 7, 8 tries at this level.
The 2, if it was on the turf, maybe would have a chance to win.
You know, it's
Much
been
better
nice
chance.
weather. The tarp's coming down soon.
The 2 could. Has
win.
back numbers.
The 3 and 5 would be outrageous upsets. They would blow up the multi-race bets bigger than their current odds of 12 to 8 and 18 to 1.
Yeah,
they're probably 30 and 40 to 1, if not higher, in the multis. Would you agree with that?
100%. They just don't. I'm not trying to pick. They just don't have any races.
No.
They've had this level. It's not like they're dropping. They've tried this level 5 or 6 times each, and they're not even close in any of those races.
You can't make a case on paper. Yeah.
No, I mean, no. This is a completely uncompetitive race, and that's why the 4 is 3 to 5. It's not a function of how good she is. It's just a function of how good she is relative to the others. And she also has a tactical advantage. She's supposed to be the controlling speed. And one thing I really like about Heman Harkey is he's not afraid to use a horse's speed. He's not one of these guys that's looking to rate speed horses. He goes, and I love that about him.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, I do. I like when I'm interested in one of his horses and I want the horse to be forward. I know you agree because I'm confident that he's going to go.
Let's see if he could take advantage on this one right here. There she is. So 3 to 5. Brisky Frolic dropping down off the claim here. Now with Michelle Giangiulio. Late pick 5 on this Friday card from New York. Starts here. Let's go upstairs. Chris Griffin, the call.
All in line. All set. And they're off. Speed to the outside from Predetermined. There's Brisky Frolic from in between horses in the orange silk. Is now going to cross over and drop towards the inside. Freudian is up on the far outside. Is going to challenge this early pace setter. It's now Brisky Frolic and Freudian 1-2. Just off of them is going to be Predetermined. The 2 at the back. Sweet Sensation. Ed Minbon is the trailer. Pretty strung out here as Brisky Frolic moves quickly up front. It's Brisky Frolic who's up by 2. 24 seconds flat for that opening quarter mile. As they work up the backstretch, it's Brisky Frolic at 3 to 5. The big favorite is set to move into the far turn. Freudian is right there from second, moves in a touch closer. Also trying to make up some ground is Predetermined. The 2 far back, Sweet Sensation and Midmons. 8 off the leader. Brisky Frolic is still in front. The lead is diminishing, though, and here comes Freudian up on the outside, who moves in closer, and now Brisky Frolic just lets it out a notch and is back up by 2. They went 48 and 3 for that half-mile time. They approach a quarter mile left to go. Predetermined is under a full drive, is now 4 lengths back. Brisky Frolic drifts a touch here at the top of the stretch. It's Brisky Frolic in front. Freudian has dropped down towards the inside to chase, is still drifting as Brisky Frolic is now into the 4 path. A furlong left to go. Brisky Frolic. Freudian has a clear second. Predetermined just not making up the ground. Brisky Frolic. Heman Harkey, they approach the 16th pole, still 4 lengths in front. Brisky Frolic was drifting through the stretch, but Brisky Frolic is an easy winner. Brisky Frolic, then Freudian. Predetermined in 1 minute 28.56 seconds.
3 to 5 favorite. Too good for this group and a chalky beginning to the late pick 5.
I just think, you know, I made some cold tries. Well, 2 tries. I made 4, 6 with the 3 and 5 when Jonathan said they couldn't win the race, and I crushed here. You were a little worried there, the 5. I said to you, be careful, the 5's moving.
Oh, I was nervous. But Rob Falcone held them off for me. I appreciate that.
Short price to begin at 4. Who wants this horse?
10 strike. Well, I don't know if they do anymore, but they did. They did a couple minutes
during
ago.
this victory. May have got claimed.
I don't know if they would claim the source going to win moving up.
We will keep you posted on that. A short price gets it done. Heman Harkey, Michelle Giangiulio, and 10 strike 4 corners racing. Prices for you when we return to New York. Let's go back to Oaklawn, out in Hot Springs, race 4. $40,000 maiden claiming sprint, 3/4 of a mile. And a look at hyper speed in here, but down inside, Impressor, Gucci Boy, the 1 and the 3 taking the majority of the money.
Do you have any opinion here, Jonathan? I was sort of interested in the number 5, Storm Approaching.
Well, I mean, the 1 and the 3, you have to take into account horses that are dropping like that have that come from these connections.
That's fair.
But Gucci Boy hasn't done much running.
Nope. Started on the turf as well.
I would prefer the 1 Impressor. At least the horse has picked up his feet on the dirt.
I don't understand why this horse is even there. Steve Asmussen has horses in New York. Why would he ship a New York bred that ran Saratoga this summer to run down there in maiden claiming races when you could run against New York breds up here? I understand that 6 Hyperspeed's a New York bred, but Nick Zito isn't stabled in New York now. He's stabled his old stables in Arkansas. Whereas Asmussen's got horses in every track and some that don't even exist. So why is this horse not in New York? Is that a reasonable question?
That's a good point. It's a good point for sure.
Outside of the 1, 3, and 5, those look like the 3 going to take the most money in this 4th here coming up at Oaklawn. Our FS1 coverage coming to a conclusion. First things first, up next on FS1, we're going to continue America's Day at the Races over on FS2. So that's still to come. Late Pick 5 from Oaklawn. Conclusion of the card, including the feature at Aqueduct on the way. We'll roll along with this crew. It's Motley Bunch over on FS2. Check your local listings. More coming up, including more talk about Saturday's road to the Kentucky Derby with the Grade 2 Rebel and that $20 million Saudi Cup. We'll see you on FS2 next.
Every hair, every muscle, every contour, every pulse. In the juvenile.
Essential Quality has won.
In the Belmont.
Essential Quality has won the Belmont Stakes.
Well named.
Would you believe that champions weren't measured by rings, but by a crown? That the history books were written on dirt? That the greatest of all time was a horse?
He is moving like a tremendous machine.
Experience the magic at this year's Belmont Stakes as we honor the 50th anniversary of Secretariat's legendary Triple Crown triumph. Join the celebration at Belmont Park on Saturday, June 10th. Tickets on sale now at BelmontStakes.com.
Harris Farms, proudly standing Smiling Tiger, a triple Grade 1 winner, defeating Breeders' Cup champions Dancing in Silks and Amazombie, a leading California sire with over $9.7 million in progeny earnings, with 94 winners in 2021 and graded stakes superstars like Spice Perfection.
Spice Perfection wins the Grade 1 La Brea.
And Tiger Dad. Smiling Tiger, a leading California sire, standing at Harris Farms. It pays to be Cal bred.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Welcome to America's Day at the Races on FS2 on this Friday afternoon. Good to have you with us. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing, for the love of the race. Visit americasbestracing.net today. South Ozone Park, New York, Aqueduct. We're getting set for race 5, late pick 4, approaching the 20-minute mark to post. Greg Wolf, Jonathan Kinchin, Andy Serling with you here on the desk. We have Maggie Wolfendale, Paula Duca out in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Best yet to come here from New York and from Oaklawn.
Just happy to be sitting here. It's a rare appearance from Jonathan. I mean, you come and appear as often as Santa Claus does, basically.
I told you I was missing you. I had to get up here.
It's understandable.
It doesn't count just hearing you in my ear over the phone. It's not the same.
It's nice to see you. You're only staying, though, a few minutes, right? And you're gone. You're just like an apparition. You know,
in and out, in and out.
We'll take what we can get. 4th at Oaklawn.
We owe due, Greg.
We have no choice. 40 maiden claiming sprint, 6 furlongs. And we touched on this briefly over on our FS1 coverage. The 1, the 3 to 5 expected to take the most of the money in here. And the 1, Impressor, now 9 to 5. Tough visibility right now without weather in Hot Springs.
I'm against Impressor in here in New York, Brett. I'm surprised he's actually at Oaklawn and not running here as he did start running in Saratoga. I don't like the field he ran when he gets Lasix, blinkers, new gelding, too many changes for me.
Isaac Castillo, Steve Asmussen, who just notched number 10,000 in his career on our air last week. Texas Ted for Jason Barkley, start number 2.
Broke extremely slow in the first start, and there was a gate scratch February 4th. I would look elsewhere.
Gucci Boy, he drops against Open maiden special weight last start.
He's probably the one to beat on paper. He is originally a turf horse for Diodoro, which doesn't breed confidence, but in the drop down, he's logical.
Thomas Vance would tap that dial.
Didn't do any running, but took a little bit of money on debut, maybe a little bit of talent there. Nothing wrong with 18-1.
Storm approaching, should be forward.
I agree with Jonathan earlier. He looks a little cheap in here, but I actually prefer him. I thought he ran well last time, and at 5-1, I'm going to lose a few bucks.
Hyperspeed went by. He drops in class, and here's GT 500.
Last race was good enough to give him an outside chance, but I prefer others.
And Ransom Painter in a new barn now, Michael Hewitt.
Yeah, switches to a low percentage barn, 9% for the meet, 8% for the year, 5% in his career.
Speed going longer, cutting back in distance for this race coming up. And now Gucci Boy has become the favorite for Robertino Diodoro out of that Open maiden special in the slop for his 3-year-old debut.
I do know this for sure, that Flying P, my man likes to wear Gucci. So I'm assuming that it's named after Jay.
And he wears it well.
He does.
He's been on air plenty of times.
There was a lot of Gucci.
Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale and Paula Duca.
Yeah, that would be Jay Provenzano. He loves to be a little flash, so he is Gucci Boy. But, Paulie, so nice to be here with you. You've been killing it, so I want to know, who do you like here? But let's start with the 1, Impressor. He's coming off a layoff.
Well, I mean, obviously a tough read, a horse that, Andy made a good point, a New York bred, first-time gelding. You've been able to see him. And in his race at Saratoga, he bore out very, very badly. And, he looks like he has a little bit of talent. Does he go straight towards the front end? We'll see what happens today.
Yeah, Paulie, he is wearing a Houghton bit, figure 8, usually things that are put on horses that will tend to get out or in. He does look very fit. He has filled out a bit, but he definitely wasn't the most aggressive. The horse who was the most aggressive was number 5, and that's Storm Approaching, who I think did all the dirty work last time.
Yeah, Storm Approaching is the horse that, first time out on the mud, and we always talk about every muddy racetrack is not the same, and that's the first experience for the horse, so did not go well. Second experience went very well. So now this horse knows, okay, I'm back on the mud. You never know how that horse is going to react. But sometimes the in-horse forms wins these kind of races.
Yeah, and one that is dropping those, Gucci Boy, who is your 3-2 favorite in here. He is a lot more fit than when I last saw him in Saratoga.
I think he's the horse to beat, obviously. Nicky Juarez has been very, very aggressive with his horses, and I think he'll be forwardly placed.
All right, will the aggression pay off? Greg, take it away.
We will find out. Yeah, 8-5. Now public is settled 3-2 on Gucci Boy the 3, the biggest class dropper in here. Are we all in agreement?
I bet the 5 to win a box 3-5.
I'll go 1 officially here, but I don't have a strong opinion.
Vic Stauffer, the call. Here's the 4th from Oaklawn.
Ransom Painter. They're off. Storm Approaching is hard sent to the front from Gucci Boy. Tap that line, GT 500, and Ransom Pater. Impressor comes away third last. Then Texas Ted, and the trailer is Hyperspeed. 3 of them up the backstretch, Storm Approaching and GT 500. They match strides a length in front of Ransom Painter. Gucci Boy is in the pink. He's 4th and 2 from the front and a length in front of Impressor. 3 back to Tap That Dial. Inside of him and moving up is Texas Ted, 6 from the front. Hyperspeed has trailed throughout. GT 500 and Storm Approaching. GT 500 now getting the best of Storm Approaching. Gucci Boy is about to split horses and move into second. Impressor trying to go with him. Ransom Painter is gone. GT 500 at the top of the stretch. A 2.5 length lead on Impressor. Gucci Boy is inside of him. They're both now 3 from GT 500. Final furlong. GT 500, 4 lengths in front. Gucci Boy and Impressor are battling second and third. Hyperspeed has moved up. He could get into second, but GT 500 is far in front. Gucci Boy or Hyperspeed for second. GT 500. GT 500 won by 4.5. Gucci Boy was second. Hyperspeed third. Texas Ted finished fourth.
GT 500, Ingrid Mason had been at a lower condition the last couple of starts. And best could manage was third beat 4 lengths.
Easily
like the mud today.
Easily beaten by the horse I like, Storm Approaching. And today he dueled with him and just buried him. Looking a winner every step of the way. He buried them. Nobody else really did any running, even though Gucci Boy finished second.
It's a tough race because not only did you have to try to figure out who you thought was best, but you also needed to find out who was going to get the trip the 7 got. Because whoever got that trip was going to have a big advantage, and the 7 just, I didn't see it coming on paper that horse would be able to kind of control it that way that he did.
I really liked the horse who we ran against last time. That horse, he buried him. Last time my horse buried him. He loved the slop today.
7, and then even money 3. Looks like Nick Zita with a 6, getting third Hyperspeed. Right. Dropping a class as well. Those prices on the way momentarily. Brisky, Frolic, odds-on winner to start off the Late Pick 5 in New York with Heeman Harkey for Michelle G. and Julio off the claim.
The horse was claimed. I know we talked about it. Sounds like Mike Maker claimed Brisky Frolic.
Boy, he's going to do great with him. It's a weird claim. You claim a horse like that, and you know you're about to lose the condition. So why are you claiming a horse that you've got to probably have to run? Because if she loses this race, you don't want her. And if she wins, she has to move up in company. So why would you claim a horse like that?
I'm sure there's some 1.5 grade 1 grass race.
Probably.
Yeah.
Grade 1, yeah, in the future.
With her name on them. Yeah. But that happens. Mike Maker goes instantly in the Hall of Fame.
ABR Race of the Week, Grade 2 Rebel, mile and a 16th, and full field signed on to try and punch your ticket to the Kentucky Derby. We're going to have live coverage for you on Saturday. Reincarnate, of course. Leaving the Bob Baffert barn goes to Tim Yakteen. See if he can collect some points. And Verifying, coming off that huge 3-year-old debut, can he continue to move forward for Brad Cox?
That's really a big question because Verifying, who finished 6th, beaten 10 lengths, I believe, in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, a non-factor that day. He was a different horse in his debut. Obviously, easier horses, but he ran a figure that would have maybe gotten him second in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And Brad Cox right now, I got to think he's maybe even more powerful than Bob Baffert's horses. I know Baffert won't be in the Derby of the horses that he had trained. Is that fair to say, Jonathan?
I think so. I mean, you know, it's just got. It looks like I feel like every prep, Brad Cox has 2 or 3. You know, and look, Verifying looks to take a step forward. He's been consistent. He was consistent as a 2-year-old. Didn't run well in the Breeders' Cup, but was consistent. And then he shows up and runs that big race. You know, last time the allowance. I mean, you know, he feels like a type of horse that will continue to progress.
Yeah, it was Angel Empire kind of stepped up and surprised some of us with that win for Brad Cox. Is this a horse, though, that you expect to see keep on going on with it? Victory Formation, of course, he was 3 for 3 going in, got beat.
I'm going to guess this, and maybe I don't want to put words in Brad Cox's mouth, but I'll do it anyway. If you said to Brad Cox, even before last week's race and even after it, he'd say that Verifying is considerably better than both horses he ran the Risen Star. I doubt he ever thought Victory Formation was a Kentucky Derby horse. And we still don't believe that the horse that won at Fairgrounds is probably a likely Derby horse. Verifying could be one of the favorites in the Derby based on what we saw, at least in his first start this year.
He's right there on that cusp, too, of, to me, to win the Derby, you need to be a triple-digit buyer type. And if you're sitting on 97, then that's who I'm focused on.
And to take us a step further, the horse that won the Risen Star got an 87 buyer and did it while getting a great setup, a fast pace that collapsed and everything went his way. And yeah, you can say, well, the pace could collapse like last year, but he still ran an 87 buyer. This horse is running considerably faster, but he's got to go forward.
Yeah, he did it too, that 97 buyer. First start early on in his 3-year-old campaign with a lot of room to move forward to get to that first Saturday in May.
Right, and for people that say, well, where did that improvement come from? Who knows, but three horses, I think, have run out of the race, and they've confirmed that number is rock solid.
Meanwhile, Reincarnate, Tim Yakteen will take over duties of this horse who won the Grade 3 Sham. Did it forwardly placed last time out, beating two good ones in what was the top 3 for Bob Baffert in the Sham.
Horses like this that are 16-1, that are the third choice in a race where there's 3 Bob Baffert horses, they just don't typically turn out to be world beaters. I think that this was the right horse on this day when the other 2 didn't really fire. He's going to be extremely overbet here because anytime Bob Baffert's horses or horses that were formerly with Bob Baffert show up to the Rebel, they get bet off the board. I just think he's a bad wager at the price he's going to be.
I have a different opinion. I thought he beat a horse. I mean, what you said was accurate as far as he's a big price. He surprised them. But he beat a horse, came back to run a 100 buyer before he unfortunately got injured. And I just think he's very, very good. And I don't believe in the horse inside him, Giant Surprise. I believe that he's going to prove to be a very good sprinter. I do not believe he gets better with more distance. And maybe he will be second choice Giant Surprise because with Irad Ortiz riding. So I have a higher opinion of that ex-Baffert horse than you do.
Going to be interesting. Obviously, Taba had to leave Baffert's barn. That was a big ask for Taba last year, going to the Kentucky Derby and start number 3 of his career.
And he had a ton of talent, and he's probably the best horse in the world. We'll know tomorrow, midday tomorrow, if that's true or not.
He's in that Saudi Cup. Big expectations, not just for that race, but for this year for Taba. As we're back to New York, race 5, start of the late pick 4. 1 turn mile, 40 maiden claiming group. And Nieuwendyk at this level last time out was forwardly placed on the front end, backed up to 3rd. Can he seal the deal this time around? Late pick 4 is next. We'll have the post parade. We'll hear from Mig when we come back on our continuing America's Day at the Races coverage.
Catholic Boy, one of only 3 American 3-year-old colts in history to win Grade 1s on both dirt and turf, including the immortal Secretariat. A 6-time graded stakes winner from ages 2 to 4, and the fastest 3-year-old of his crop over 10 furlongs.
He's so impressive today, the others didn't even have a prayer. Catholic Boy rolls in the run. Happy Travers.
Dual surface Grade 1 winner Catholic Boy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
We're back on America's Day at the Races, program brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Back to Hot Springs, Arkansas. GT 500. Saw the Beach Boys this summer. Wasn't that one of their hits?
Who? That was
The Beach Boys, the Beach Boys.
I like the Beach Boys.
Love the Beach Boys. It's not one of their hits. I was kidding. 28.80 for the win.
I saw them.
Paul LaDuca was at that
Big,
concert.
That's right. What he was? I thought he was an alternate for the Beach Boys. I saw them in
Mason Barn with the win.
I saw them in the mid '70s. It's back. That's how old
Did
I
you?
am. Yeah.
That'd been cool.
Kiki D warmed up. Kiki D played that song with Elton John, "Don't Go Breaking My Heart."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no.
Back to Aqueduct here, 40 maiden claiming race, 1-turn mile. And 9-5 favorite, the one we showed you going to break Nieuwendyk in here. JK, what did you think in this spot here with Nieuwendyk?
I mean, this horse is starting to be a money burner. You know, take not like odds on or anything, but short prices.
He's officially a money burner. He's
not getting
starting.
there. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if the horse won. You know, but I think there's other horses that are a little bit more interesting and are better prices as well.
I think the 2's a cinch. Ghost Rider. Well, his dirt race in September at Churchill Downs, his last dirt race, will beat this field, don't you think?
I do.
New gelding, Lasix.
If they run that race. But yeah, and to keep in mind, that number was earned as a 2-year-old. We talk about that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, this race changed dramatically. I mean, you had a heavy favorite first-time start. It cost $400,000, running for 40 with a Grade 1 winning dam and excess demand, and Cloud Music, who I preferred in there, was scratched. So for me, all the meat came out of the race. I think Ghost Rider's a cinch.
There's the 2, Ghost Rider, Dylan Davis, Bill Morey. Drop down. New gelding gets Lasix. Lot of changes going on with a 2. Let's head downstairs to Mig.
Yeah, I agree, guys. The total makeover for the 2, Ghost Rider. A very long, lean son of Arrowgate. First-time gelding, first-time Lasix. Won dirt race at Churchill in the fall. More than good enough to win here. Making a nice impression here in the paddock. The 5, Nieuwendyk, named for NHL Conn Smythe winner Joe Nieuwendyk. Played for the Calgary Flames, the Dallas Stars. Over 564 goals. Looks good. Really good in the coat. Jamie Beggs having a nice meet here. A little bit on the smaller side. Certainly makes a lot of sense. Ran well last time. I just prefer, from a physical perspective, the 2, Ghost Rider.
2-1 Ghost Rider. He will have the rail here. And Dylan Davis at that short price. Our post break here coming up. 4 minutes to post to kick off this late pick 4. There's the gray and co-favorite right now.
Yeah, I think the speed will be the entry in here. I don't particularly like either one of those horses, though I suppose they're not impossible. I think Ghost Rider will be fairly close, and I thought Ghost Rider ran credibly that time down at Gulfstream Park.
So here's part of the entry in here. Sways in My DNA gets post 2.
Yeah, that was pretty good how you pronounced that horse. I would not have gotten that, Greg.
Arabato looks to be the speed.
I'm guessing, yeah, probably. We'll see. Was a distant second, beaten almost 14 lengths.
Rail to Ghost Rider.
Lots of changes in that race. 2 back at Churchill could absolutely win this race.
Bounty Killer, Marvin Richards trains.
It's hard to endorse this horse, but he does get first-time Lasix. Who's riding this horse? Because isn't that a rider that we just saw riding at Oaklawn? 10-pound E Fuentes. Are there 2 10-pound E Fuentes? That would be incredible.
10-pound.
Right? Wouldn't that be incredible? At the same show, in 2 different tracks.
Bounty Killer, I believe, is Matty Over.
That's right. He took his pack. He left town. Eddie Fuentes, or is it Eddie?
This one taking a big drop. 6 will be rich. Tom Morley Barn, Frankie Pennington.
I didn't think this horse is impossible. 6 will be rich. It's only run twice and drops down. I don't like Nieuwendyk. I'm gonna bet 1. I'm gonna bet 2-7.
All right, well, let's take a look at the 7 in here. 6 will be rich. Debuted actually open maiden special. Dropped to 75 maiden claiming, and now drops further to maiden 40 for Tom Morley.
My biggest issue in looking at this was that both of the last 2 races, the pace was pretty quick. And when that happens, if horses are kind of out of it, I want them to be finishing in the stretch while the horses that are in front are getting tired. I never really saw a big run from this one, and that was the only reason that I ended up, leaning more towards the inside with the entry and the 2 Ghost Rider.
Yeah, he hasn't done any run. I'm not gonna argue. He's done absolutely no running in his races, but he is dropping here, and I'm just sick and tired of Nieuwendyk. As my 2 now is even money.
There he is. Yes. Wow. Ghost Rider taking all the play here, with all those changes, including the drop in class.
Isn't it a race crying out for a stranger, and he's the stranger, right?
Looks like he's on his toes. What does Mig think appearance-wise? Let's hear from him now.
Well, appearance-wise and on paper, he makes a lot of sense. The 2, Ghost Rider. And we talk about it all the time. When we talk about horses from a physical perspective, they can look great, but if they just have no ability, they can only run as fast as they're capable of running. When you see a horse that makes sense on paper and then makes that kind of impression, and he's framed up beautifully on the racetrack. He looked great in the paddock. Inside post, Dylan just needs to be aggressive, allow him to run away from there, make sure he gets his position going forward. But he checks both boxes. Didn't expect him to be this short a price. He's my top selection. I can't pick the price, but it's the horse I like. The 7 horse from the Tom Morley barn, 6 Will Be Rich. He was kind of nondescript in the paddock, and I almost thought that he could have looked a little bit tighter, a little bit fitter. But I will say this. He changed when he got on the racetrack, and he framed up beautifully, took a really big hold of Frankie Pennington, bowed his head, and he's another one getting that makeover. First-time gelding, first-time Lasix, and draws outside. Always, I think, an advantage in these one-turn miles here at Aqueduct.
It certainly looks like he is on his toes now, as did the one. The Ghost Rider looks phenomenal warming up here, and he's the 6-5 choice. So see what happens here. Obviously, the 1A, Arabato, looks like he could be leading the way. Start number 2 for him stretching out.
Yeah, I thought that the entry, both of the horses, were very usable. But I did think the 1A could make the lead in here. And when you get to this level, when you start to get the lower the levels they are, the more I appreciate speed, because I just think being forwardly placed in front of horses who might, I don't want to say lack courage, but maybe just aren't as determined to winning, right? They're not as determined as some of the other ones. They're more of what they were bred to be, which is pack animals. So I think that's the difference, and so I just want a horse who's going to be in front. And it felt like the 1A could be that horse.
It's very hard for me to ever bet an entry, ever, unless 1/2 is just taking no money, if it's a 40-1 shot, because it's kind of like the let's make a deal paradox. I could say to you, we know the 1 is going to lose, or the 1A is going to lose, but they both theoretically can win. So, and only one of them can win. And you're just getting money being bet on both horses. It's a terrible, terrible, terrible value play, in my opinion, and I don't like them anyway.
And just while we're talking about entries, they drive me insane in multi-race wagers, because when they win, it's like no one tosses entries. Well, not no one. The public does. The general public does not toss entries, because you get 2 for 1, and you can't.
It's a sucker play.
Yeah.
And to be clear, we would like to get rid of entries. We have been trying for years to get rid of them, and it's 2023. You can bet on just about anything that moves these days, pretty much legally in states all over the country, including New York State. It's time for us to say, let the people that bet make a choice which one they want. If you want the 1, you should be able to bet the 1. If you want the 1A, you should be able to bet the 1A. That is an arcane thing from too long ago. They should no longer be entries. If you want to bet one of them, you should not get saddled with another one.
And this may change here, and I agree with everything you guys said, everything. But 7-2 here, I actually think is more than generous with an entry here with these two. I think they both have a shot. I actually prefer the 1A.
They do have
win the race.
On paper, they have a shot.
And now the
This
price
is a
comes
barn I am never going to take at a short price, ever. They've just habitually won at an extraordinarily low percentage. I don't mean to be hard on it, but the numbers don't lie.
The problem is that, and I'm not going to do any advanced math, but they should probably be like 9-2 for the entry. But because they're an entry, they're 3-1, and they'll probably click down off of the 3-1.
Still coming.
We're probably a little, they clicked up as we said that. But I would imagine that when they pop away from there, they'll probably, they would go the other way.
There's Sways in My DNA. Start number 3 for this one, who dropped to this level last start against Iya.
I want to know where that name came from. Sways in My DNA.
Big favorite, 6-5. Ghost Rider, The Rail, Dylan Davis for Bill Morey. We are set for the pick 4. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
Newendike. 6 Will Be Rich. All in line. All set. And they're off. Arabato breaks well, so does Newendike towards the outside, and at the rail there's Sways in My DNA, but it's going to be Newendike who's in front. 6 Will Be Rich is on the pace, is up on the outside, is now taken second. Backing off a touch will be Arabato in third. Tightly at the rail here is Ghost Rider. Dylan Davis tugging at Dylan Davis here moving forward, has that rail opening and will move on through. He's going to challenge for that third spot. Sways in My DNA is in fifth. The trailer, Bounty Killer. On the front end, it's Newendike. 6 will be Rich is engaged, is right there stalking from second. Here comes the entry. Sways in My DNA and Adebato. They travel as a pair as they work up the backstretch. In behind them is Ghost Strider, just waiting for some room. Might move to the outside and does. 23.80 for that opening quarter mile. Newendike has got the lead. It's Newendike who will take him into the far turn with less than 4 furlongs to go. 6 will be Rich is right there in second. They went 48 and 2 for that half-mile time, and here comes 6 will be Rich to challenge Newendike for that lead. Still in behind them is Adebato to the inside of Sways in My DNA, who is making a rally now, and here comes Sways in My DNA is ranging up 3 wide. Adebato's following that move. Ghost Rider is fully extended, not cutting the margin yet, 3 off the lead, and Bounty Killer is making a move from the back of the pack as they reach a quarter mile left to go. 4 across the racetrack. Kicking for home to the inside, it's Newendike. Adebato has now gotten the room, and here comes Adebato to challenge that leader. It's Adebato who's put a nose in front. Back to second is Newendike. Adebato is now striding away. A furlong left to go. It's Adebato who's up by a length and a half. Newendike is a clear second. Losing ground late as Sways in My DNA. 6 will be Rich is going to grab third, but it's all Adebato will get the victory. Adebato with the victory over Newendike. Then 6 will be Rich. Sways in My DNA, Ghost Rider, and Bounty Killer in 1 minute 41.13 seconds.
Adebato, Mr. Robato. Start number 2, not the way we expected this horse to get it done from a stalking position.
I didn't expect the horse to get it done, period, so it definitely wasn't the way I expected it to get it done.
Andy, I just have a question. How do you process a win when a horse won in a different way than you thought the horse was going to win?
Well, first of all, there's no pace figure for the last race, so I don't know exactly how fast they thought it was. And I'm not surprised that Jorge Vargas was the most aggressive rider in here because he's an aggressive rider. I don't know. I mean, I thought the 2 couldn't lose this race. He never got out of a gallop. He never ran a step here. And Newendike is just not a winning type horse. So he won easily. I don't know how to evaluate this. I got buried. I bet doubles with the 2, and the 2 never ran a step, and I wouldn't use this horse in a million years. I couldn't have been more wrong about this race in every way. So I don't know how to evaluate any of it. Do you want any of these horses going forward?
Like his pets, or?
Well, you didn't need them. All you need them is in
You've already
this
got
one
pets, John.
as a wager.
You've got plenty of stuff for that.
I'll take all of them. They can all come home, but who do I want to bet on next time?
You have room at Saratoga for them, right?
Got a pretty big, yeah, nice backyard.
1A 571 Adebato sitting, and I thought it was probably more for traffic reasons. Omar Hernandez Moreno, he actually took a look back. Maybe it's because he had horse underneath him.
6 will be Rich. Ran pretty well. I thought, ran pretty well.
Nobody ran pretty well.
Early part of the race.
For the love.
Yeah.
3-1, Adebato starts off the pick 4. We'll be back.
The return of Sunday Silence.
Sunday Silence surges to the front.
It's Yoshida in front. Yoshida takes charge at the top of the stretch, and Yoshida wins the Turf Classic.
Here comes Yoshida, storming home in the center with Gunnevera. Yoshida! Yoshida has won the 1 word.
The perfect balance. Yoshida.
We take pride in what we do.
For me, it's more of a passion than actual work. I'm an assistant trainer.
Carpenter.
I'm a peace officer.
I'm a jockey.
I'm a gardener.
I'm a groom.
Clocker.
Assistant starter. Trainer.
ESL teacher.
I love what I do.
There's so many jobs that come together every day. It's a collective effort that really makes this ball go round.
We are New York Racing! I couldn't imagine working anywhere else.
For me, riding horses in the morning is the best thing I can do.
New York Racing helps support my small business.
It's extremely important to the New York economy.
Like my dream come true.
This is like a big family.
We are New York Horse Racing.
The road to the Kentucky Derby starts with Naira Bets. Earn a cash bonus throughout the Triple Crown Trail. Hit a $5 win bet on select races and split $1,000 on each race. Opt in at NairaBets.com.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage, brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. 5th at Oaklawn. Late pick 5 begins in this $16,000 claiming 6 furlong sprint. And our post parade here coming up, Big Nick. Oh, taking a lot of money right now, the 5.
My comment at the top of my paper for this race was, and I don't know if you guys disagree, they all look the same to me.
Start with a 2. Here's Square Deal, Robertino Diodoro.
Yeah, I mean, this horse has a little bit of speed from the inside, but didn't run particularly well last time.
4-1. 9-2. Next door, Alex's Strike. Ron Moquette off the claim.
Comes off the claim, right? For Ron Moquette, who does not have good numbers off the claim, particularly at Oaklawn, where he's 0 for 12 over the last 5 years.
9-2 as well. Next door, David Cabrera on the 4.
I thought this horse was interesting. 2 back, ran well, got a nice trip, ran a fast number. The last race had a slow pace and didn't get a good trip.
Yeah, huge number 2 back at Fairgrounds. Here's the 5, Big Nick, the favorite.
Speed of the speed, perhaps, or perhaps with a 2 Square Deal. I thought he was a player.
Ocelot went by.
Yeah, it was claimed for 20, dropped for 12.5, didn't do any running. I'd expect the same here today.
Claimed off of Jerry Hollendorf for Mystery Mo.
Trainer has good numbers off the claim at Oaklawn Park and in general.
Lightning Struck at 20-1, just claimed.
Yeah, I just don't think a trainer who's 0 for 10 at the meet is going to claim off of a Hall of Famer like Steve Asmussen and win.
And then Espionage taking money 5-1 has been extremely popular in the claim box.
Has races that are fast enough to win, pretty much all of them, but I don't like horses that are claimed and off for over 6 months. It's just kind of weird. You don't claim a horse expecting to leave it in the barn for that long.
Horse going from, Carl Broberg, Diodoro, Steve Asmussen, back to Carl Broberg. That's oftentimes we see that as a positive, claim or retraining, but yeah, long time off.
Right.
Since that claim, July 22nd at Ellis.
Sharp barns too, yeah, as you were pointing out.
Yeah,
not my kind.
You claim horses for you know, I mean, you can claim them for action, but you claim them for a quick turnaround. You bring them back in 30 days and try to turn that money that you invested into them into more. 6 months off usually signals something was amiss.
This 5 here, who's favored, is the public seeing that race 2 back?
Yes.
Oh, muddy track,
Well,
80 buyer.
Well, not just that, Greg. I think in this horse's case, it's particularly relevant because doesn't that race, from a speed figure standpoint, stick out like a sore thumb?
It does.
And I think it's very possible this horse really did move up on a wet track. I'm glad you said that because I was thinking the exact same thing, to be honest.
Let's go to Paulie for more.
Thanks, guys. A very confusing and a very actually good betting race here when you get to this race. And when you looked at the will pays it here, when you look, it does have the 2 in the 5, but Onslaught, the 6, is actually one of your lowest pays when it comes to the will pays here for Carl Broberg. I'm going to focus on the 5, Big Nick. I thought his race 2 back was very good for Lindsey Schultz. He already has a win on the card. And, the race 2 back, horse ran really well with blinkers on for the first time. Now you get Nicky Juarez. Nothing against Tyler Bays, but Tyler's been a little bit of struggle. He's 1 for 80 at the meet, and now you get a little upgrade in jockey when you get Nicky Juarez. Now, the 4, it was the confusing horse to me because this horse is very sharp and has run some good races, on a wet surface. We don't really know much about the trainer, Elias Lopez, but he does some great work here. David Cabrera gets in the saddle. And at 9-2, not the worst proposition. And then Robertino Diodoro, obviously the 2 horse in here. Maybe this horse is a little chilly on the board at 7-2. My concern with the 3 is how far back is the 3 going to be in this race. I do think the 3 is going to come rolling, but if I was going to take 9-2, I would take probably the 4 at 9-2 over the 3. But I'm going to land on the 5, Big Nick. I don't really love the price at 3-1. I thought we'd get 4 or 5-1, Wolfie.
Yeah, well, as we said, you look back, and it does stand out that 80 buyer horse has never produced anything like that before. It came 2 starts back on a muddy track at Oaklawn. Second beat a neck.
And he's supposed to be the stalking speed here. I'm with Paulie.
Nick Juarez for Lindsey Schultz. As Paulie said, looking for the second win of the afternoon for that barn.
I mean, listen, I wouldn't take a big stand here. I mean, you look at the board, right? I think it kind of reflects what I was saying about how they look the same. 7-2, 5-1, 9-2, 3-1. Then you got sort of the middle, you got another 5-1. You got a couple of 8s. I mean, they're betting this race like, other than the 8, who I agree is a little hard to make, every other horse being bet like the horse has a legitimate chance to win here.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the 9, and especially coming off the bench, they're going to be fresh, probably going to be forward. But the 5, too, might be in front.
I thought that the one horse you might have to deal with square deal, and I got to agree that Nick Juarez is going to look to be aggressive with this horse, and it's not a bad thing to be in front.
The one thing I'll say about the 2 square deal is on a sloppy racetrack, you know, drawn towards the inside, there's not a lot of riders on a lot of horses that are like, oh, let me just take back, eat some of this mud for a while. You know, they try to hold that position. Now, the horse might not be able to keep the position, might not be fast enough early, but Square Deal has enough early tactical speed that I would think that Christian Torres would stay in there.
Meanwhile, this horse here, 5-1, and we're going to show you the win at Fairgrounds back on January 5th. Got a big number for this one. It was a fast track in Nolan's.
And got a very, very good trip. But those are strong races. And this horse has shipped and brought his act to a lot of places recently. I'm obviously not familiar with this trainer, but a trainer that's winning at 22%. I just worry about shipping in. Will he be as effective in the new surroundings?
Yeah, I mean, I like this horse, but he ran so well for 30.
Well, it was a conditional 30.
Oh, okay, okay.
You know, that's the thing. So this horse has run out of conditions. I don't know. The B means multi-conditions. I don't know what they exactly were.
9-2 right now. Tried, and why not? They took a swing, tried much tougher off those back-to-back wins, and it did not pan out, so back to more realistic spot.
Very realistic spot. But doesn't this horse have a look of, we're not bringing this horse back in the van to Fairgrounds. We brought this horse to lose him at Oaklawn. Now listen, the purse is $35,000. It's $21,000 the winner. They lose the horse $37,000. It's okay, but they didn't bring this horse to Oaklawn to bring him back to Fairgrounds.
It was a conditional, but he was in for 30.
No, but it's a conditional rate. I'm saying, so he's running against conditional claimers. So they're running against probably horses that had the conditions, whether it was non-winners of a race in a long time or, you know, non-winners of 3 lifetime, whatever it was. Obviously, that was his 4th win. We'll see.
Vic Stauffer with a call. Here's the 5th, start of the late pick 5.
They're off. Big Nick broke very well, goes to the front from Ali Brihez and Espionage. At the rail and on the move is Square Deal, these 4 across the racetrack. Then comes Ocelot and Mystery Mo with Alex's Strike, and the trailer is Lightning Struck. 3 across the track. At the rail, Square Deal. Between horses, Big Nick and 3 wide Espionage. These 3 match strides 4 lengths in front of Ali Brihez. Then comes Mystery Mo. He's 5 from the front, 2 in front of Ocelot. Alex's Strike has 8 lengths to make up, and he's 2 in front of Thunderstruck. The battle up front continues. 3 of them trading punches. At the rail, Square Deal. Espionage 3 wide. Big Nick between horses, and they are really going at it. Stretch runners are coming, and one of them is Ali Brihez, who moves up in the red sleeves. He's within 2 of the front. 3 back to Mystery Mo and Ocelot, top of the stretch. Here's Ali Brihez in the center of the racetrack. Mystery Mo joins him. Ocelot finds a way through from between horses as Ali Brihez is the leader. Mystery Mo to the outside. Alex's Strike up the rail, and these 3, along with Charging Thunderstruck. Alex's Strike, Thunderstruck, Alex's Strike, Thunderstruck. Wow. That's a real close. Alex's Strike and Thunderstruck, who got way the best of the bob, it's an inch either way.
Alex's Strike, the 3. Lightning Struck, the 8. I don't know what happened here.
I know if you bet Alex's Strike, you feel like lightning just struck. Lightning Struck, the one horse I said was being bet like it couldn't win because it didn't look like it could win on paper. Well, they were flying up front, okay? So you got an 8-horse field that's fairly evenly matched, and 3 horses are beating each other's brains in on the front end. And here come the rest of them, right? So 3 horses knock each other out, and then 4 of the others hit the wire together. That's what you call an evenly matched field. Don't bother looking at that because you have no idea from that. I would say the inside won based on that. Alex's Strike, which would be the first win in at least 5 years off the claim at Oaklawn for Ron McQuett. But we'll wait to see what they.
I think it's inside.
17-1 if it's outside, 5-1 if it's inside.
I'm going to wait for. They'll show the slow-mo on the track feed.
And
there, wait,
inside.
Inside.
Tough luck. How far out did Mystery Mo, the 7, get carried out by the 4?
Yeah, but he swung out in the stretch, you know? I don't know. It's hard to know. I mean, it is interesting because the horses that ran 1-2 also both saved ground and slipped in inside of them. I mean, it's a funny race because the way we talked about it being wide open, right? So you have 3 horses that just completely eliminate each other in the front end, and 4 of the other 5 basically were inches apart at the wire.
Tough beat for Lightning Strike in those connections, too.
Yeah.
Would have been the first win for the meet. But at least it saved me by saying, because I did say that, how does this connections win off of Asmussen?
Alex's strike, camera showing the 3, nothing posted yet. Photo finish in the 5th to start the late pick 5.
Do we think the 4 ran the best race? Because at least he was relatively close to the pace that fell apart. He might have run the best race of anybody.
Could have. We're going to take a timeout. When we return, look back on the incredible history of African Americans in this sport, dominating the early days, and the next generation making their own imprint on the sport.
Tampa Bay Downs has a rich thoroughbred horse racing history in Florida dating back to 1926. Celebrities such as Babe Ruth, Jack Dempsey, and John Ringling all attended opening day. In 1981, Hall of Fame jockey Julie Crone won her first career race here, and in 2007, we saw Street Sense win the Tampa Bay Derby and go on later that year to win the Kentucky Derby. Featuring full fields, great turf racing, and a 15% takeout on our Pick 5, Tampa Bay Downs has live racing every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage. It's brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. Just shows you that race at Oaklawn. Quickly want to remind everyone it was 3-8-4-7. The 4 talked about carrying out the 7, and those 2 are flashing on the board. Back in New York. Arabato, we all thought would be in front, decided to sit, stalk, and gets the win anyway.
I didn't have an opinion on any of it, and everything I thought about the race was completely wrong. Everything. It's one of those days so far.
3-1 on Arabato. First start number 2, Napal Chatterpaul, Omar Hernandez Moreno winning connections.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing you're going to take away from this is you're going to see Neuendijk again somewhere. And he probably proved it before this, but this horse doesn't seem like he wants to win.
There is no horse in this race that it's likely that I will ever bet in a race going forward. None. None of them. But I do like the 6th race. I'm going to pick myself back up after my horrible opinion. And I like Chalky Cat. Don't understand how Chalky Cat is a bigger price than the 2. Launch Control.
1-8-5-7, early pick 5. Hopefully we can do better than that with this late sequence, but still a little ways to go. We'll set up race 6 in a moment. Back to Oaklawn. And I believe, is that sign still up? It is. 3-8-4-7, the objection with the 3rd and 4th place finishers. And it's the 3 who wins this photo finish. So Alex's strike, that is a tough one. Wow. As you said, Barn just having a tough time at the meet to lose ones like that. Sting a little bit, but on the other hand, look, the horse ran very well, and maybe they get going a little bit.
Still an objection for 3rd, where the 7, I guess, claiming against the 4. A lot of people are tense up here on the set.
All right, so let's look at this four here continuing to drift out on the far outside.
I have no idea which one he is.
Far outside.
White and red. Red sleeves, white cap.
Continue, yeah.
If he doesn't come down, how are they still blinking it?
What I like about a sloppy racetrack is you can see the marks.
This one was bad.
Where they were running, and you could see that line back there. Their hoof prints. Yeah, he was definitely.
They would even take this horse down in New York.
So another look. Those last two to the outside, and it is pretty convincing evidence. And as expected, stewards have made their decision, and they have made a change. So 4 and 7 will get flipped. 3, 8, 7 for new order of finish. Alex's Strike, your winner. During Black History Month, we continue to spotlight the many contributions African Americans have made in this sport, especially during the early days when they really dominated this game. Some of the greats like Jimmy Winkfield, Isaac Murphy, and now the now generation, guys like Kendrick Carmouche, are making their own imprint on the sport as well.
The Kentucky Derby is America's most recognized race. Anybody you speak to in America will know what the Kentucky Derby is, and the first Saturday of May, and what that means. Everybody in this country is tuned in, and across the world, to one day where horse racing is the premier sporting event in our country. We started with a great tradition in the Kentucky Derby and in racing in general, and African Americans are really the foundational workers in all aspects of the sport, from training and being jockeys that have achieved success.
My legacy means a lot to me just because where I come from, Louisiana, you know, they had a lot of great jockeys there. It made me feel very important walking through that tunnel and realizing that 15 other great African-American jockeys that came through this tunnel and win this race. And to be a part of that and shine light on African-American jockeys, it really do make me want to get back there, just where, you know, some kid can see me do it again and where they can feel like they can do it. You know, it's not just one way in the sport.
To see Kendrick be able to compete in such a prestigious race, but he's also to carry that mantle from the early tradition of the African-American jockeys that competed and won the Derby, to see him be able to ride in that race and represent not only New York, not only his family in Louisiana, but as well African-Americans, and be able to carry that honor. It was a quite special moment.
It's nice to know that we had a lot of guys that are intricate in this sport. In the jockeys' quarters, at least half of them were African American, and some of them were the best jockeys, like Isaac Murphy, and they had a race that they named here, Jimmy Winkfield Stakes, is named after a famous African-American rider.
It's essential that the great African-Americans that have participated in horse racing are still celebrated. Kendrick's success and other African-American riders today all started with the trials and tribulations and the success achieved by early African-American riders.
For me in my career, it would be West Virginia, Charlestown, Classic, Jeff Ronco, Researcher. That's when I knew I could arrive.
It is Researcher Kendrick Carmouche, and the track record holder has got the lead, and another hometown favorite wins the Charlestown Classic.
That's when I started believing. That was for me. That was a good moment. I looked at my wife and said, I'm ready. I rode with some of the best jocks in the country that night that I never rode with before. It made me believe.
Love that piece, and you know, this is the big leagues. I mean, this circuit, we talk about it all the time, how stacked this jockey colony is when it's at its peak. But for everyone, it's not just a rapid rise and you're here. Kendrick paid his dues. And to see him get emotional over that moment where the moment he realized I could do this at the highest level, pretty neat.
And we're excited to see he's coming back. Next Friday, he'll be back, March 3rd. So it'll be good to have him back. We missed him.
Yeah, look, that was the emotional side of Kendrick. We're lucky enough to see the fun side. But I think the fun side comes because he has such an appreciation for the road it took him to get here. Not everyone decides they want to be a rider and they get to ride in New York. It just doesn't work that way. There's a lot of guys that get stuck in places where it's not nearly as glamorous, the money's not nearly as good, and you're not riding horses that any one of us could even name. And I think Kendrick appreciates that, and that's why you get that energy from him, because he thinks, how can I be upset? I'm here riding in New York compared to what I was doing and where I was riding. I think he's very appreciative of that.
Couple of meat titles as well on this circuit for Kendrick. We have race 6 next here in New York. New York Bred's maiden special weight. 6.5 furlong sprint coming up, and 4 to 5 on launch control. 3 horses coming out of the same race in a rematch here coming up. This is Ormstown, Triple Crown nominated for David Donk. I have to, is very talented Water's Edge.
He's looking for his third first-time start win in the last week, and his last one was a Bernardini. His horses got pedigree, but not getting bet at all.
Todd Pletcher, second time out launch control.
I think not getting bet because these horses are. This horse ran well last time, attended an honest pace, just got a little tired late.
Chalky Cat, problems out of the gate in that launch control race.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to watch that race and not say that Chalky Cat ran the best race, and I don't know how he's 6-1, and I can't for the life of me figure out how launch control is 6-5, 4-5.
Huge move after that.
He's the worst
break.
to beat.
Yeah, the 5, 19 Oysters, first timer.
Not for me.
Chad Summers trains Matty Olver, apprentice in the irons. Here's the 6 Mudville 9.
Yeah, this horse isn't taking much money for connections that actually win at 15% throughout the career with first-time starters.
Okay,
Jonathan, I'm sorry, you okay? We had to skip over George Weaver horse.
Yeah, I know. He's crying. There's some tears. I'm going to put him on the spot because I know Greg's going to enjoy this. Where did Mudville 9 get his name from?
Oh, my God.
Come on.
Andy,
Richie knows.
No idea.
Greg knows. Richie knows. Bobby Klatt knows.
Austin doesn't play baseball?
No, not really.
Mighty Casey at the bat.
Nope.
Mig, tell us a story.
There was no joy in Mudville.
I actually knew that, guys. The Mighty Casey struck out. This is a little scary now, being on the same wavelength with you, Andy. But briefly, let's go through this field. The 1, Ormstown, a horse that definitely has a look, has some sharp works, particularly out of the gate on the Belmont training track. Will definitely be better for a race. He needs to tuck up a bit. The 2, Launch Control. He's a Todd Pletcher trainee. He comes off a big effort. He looks fabulous. 4 to 5, awfully short price. The 3, Chalky Cat, that's my top selection. I think he came out of a race that, the same race as Launch Control and Electric Stuff, and I thought he was the most compromised. And I'll also go one step further. I think he tightened up a lot out of the race. I see a big change from him from a physical fitness standpoint, and I like the way he's acting. The 4, Electric Stuff, still very green with the pony. Usually, with that experience, they'll kind of be much more professional. He was really, really silly going off. Looks great. George Weaver and his crew do a great job. And I gotta tell you, the 5-horse, 19 Oysters, makes a really nice impression. Shifty-looking son of Bolt de Oro. Very light on his feet. Like him a lot. 7-to-1's a nice price. My top selection's a 3, but I think the 5 is going to run well here. And I had the great pleasure of meeting Matty Olver's parents, who are in town watching her ride right here from the winner's circle, guys.
I guess it was more exciting for Richie than it was for them.
Matty on 19 Oysters, the first-time starter at 7-to-1.
That's a lot of oysters.
All right, you got to redeem yourself, Kitchen. I mean, you're leaving in a few minutes, and like you know.
I Googled it, and I still don't know what you guys are talking about. I mean, I know what you're talking about, but I don't.
It's okay. We often don't know what you're talking about, so we're even.
All right, let's go quickly. We had to skip over the 4 Electric Stuff. Bill Parcells, Auguston Farm. George Weaver, second-time starter. He was 3rd in that launch control race. Make your case.
Yeah, look, I just thought from a price standpoint, I think the 2's the most likely winner. I didn't like it 5-2. I thought it was going to be a little bit of a higher price. I thought the 2 was the most likely winner. I thought the 4 would be a better price. I think the 4 can win. George's horses can improve second time out, but I don't love it at the price differential. I'd rather have the 2. I think the 2 is the most likely winner.
Well, I think the 3 is the most likely winner of the race, and I think it's absolutely insane that he's not only a bigger price. I understand why he's not a bigger price than the 2. The 2 easily beat him, and it's Todd Pletcher. I get it. The 4 did no running last time at all. None whatsoever. A perfect trip and just sucked along for 3rd. The 3 got left, rushed up and made a huge 5-wide middle move, was wide the whole way. Based on their last races, the 3 is supposed to win this race. Now, that was one race. It was on a muddy sealed track. But based on their last races, he's the horse you want, in my opinion, out of that race. We'll see.
No money for the David Donk first-timer on the rail, too. Ormstown.
It's very strange, right?
The half to Water's Edge, who's 4 for 8 lifetime, with some numbers in the low 90s in a couple of wins his last 2 starts.
Good horse.
Here we go. Race 6 from Aqueduct. Chris Griffin, the call.
All in line. All set. And they're off. Speed down towards the inside from Launch Control is right up front. There's Electric Stuff, who's going to challenge this pace setter, and at the rail is Ormstown in 3rd. Just off of them is 19 Oysters, who's in 4th. The 2 at the back are Mudville 9, and Chalky Cat is the trailer. Pace duel on the front end. It's Launch Control and Electric Stuff, and they go right at it. Electric Stuff is challenging Launch Control. They're head and head as they work up the backstretch. Just off of them in 3rd comes Ormstown as 4 off the lead. Losing some ground was 19 Oysters as they get set to move into the far turn. Chalky Cat is still the trailer with Mudville 9, who's got a wide rally, but the front 2 are speeding away. They went 22 and 2 for a pressured opening quarter mile. Ormstown is fully extended there from 2nd. 19 Oysters is re-rallying, and here comes 19 Oysters. Mudville 9 is trying to follow that move from 5th. The trailer is still Chalky Cat. On the front end, Electric Stuff is trying to put away Launch Control, who's stubborn down towards the inside. 19 Oysters is trying to join them out in the center of the racetrack and is doing that. Here comes 19 Oysters to challenge for the lead. 19 Oysters is now in front. Chalky Cat is launching a big rally from the back of the pack, but running out of time. It's 19 Oysters, who's kicked away, is now 2-3 lengths in front with a 16th to go. 19 Oysters set off the pace and will pull off that mild upset. It's all 19 Oysters with the victory. 19 Oysters, then came Electric Stuff. Late run there from Mudville 9 and Chalky Cat in 1 minute 19.24 seconds.
Have a feeling we might be hearing from Mom and Dad here. 19 Oysters, Maddie over the 7-pound apprentice on this first-time starter here in the 6th at Aqueduct.
Pace was quick. I mean, you know.
They were flying up front.
Yeah, nice little setup. That's fun for them, though. They're in town in the winner's circle. That'll be good.
The 4 actually ran well to be second when you consider how fast that pace was. This horse got an absolutely perfect trip, though. But all the closers had decent trips, and this was the only one that showed up. My horse Chalky Cat got left again and got a silly ride, but he was no good.
And Andy, this is not a red board. This is a hindsight point I want to make. I think that, and I have to remind myself of this as well, when you have horses like the 3 Chalky Cat who break slow and make a big run, and they're impressive in that big run, there's always that little chance that they're going to break slow again.
I agree. It's 4-1.
And I think that's what happened. I'd imagine that now we found a horse that might have a problem in the gate.
I agree, but he was also 4-1,
No,
so you were getting a square price on him. So I don't really have a problem with that. I wouldn't have bet him as the favorite.
Well, but if you would have known the pace was going to fall apart, you would have probably been okay with the fact the horse got shuffled a little bit.
If I had known that this horse was going to be one of the horses I had to worry about beating, I would have bet 3 times as much. But what can I say?
Had some eye-catching bullet drills. Chad Summers, first time out. Bolt Doro at 7-1 here in the 6th at Aqueduct. And yeah, it's Launch Control. And Electric Stuff, yeah, good for him to hang around late. I mean, they battled up front.
Yeah, I thought he ran reasonably well. I mean, look where Launch Control finished. He was absolutely nowhere.
Well, these prices coming up, biggest number we've seen in this late pick 5 sequence. Maddie over with her parents watching. How about that? 7-1 on a first-time starter. High fives all around. Well-deserved. 5, 4, 6, 3. Here in the 6th at Aqueduct. We'll have these prices for you when we come back. Feature coming up next on America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage.
Whatever you use to predict future stallion success, breathe slowly and gaze at the desert's first great championship race. Curlin won it. So did Street Cry, Arrogate, and now, in a time even faster than Arrogate's, Mystic Guide. The cold hard fact is, after this, he was rated the best horse in the world. Mystic Guide. New to Darley.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Bet Aqueduct in Oaklawn for a chance at taking home your share of $5,000 each week. Hit the late pick 5 on Sunday at both or either track and split $5,000. Opt in at NyraBets.com.
Daredevil, returning to stud on U.S. soil. The only first crop sire to see 2 offspring win the Grade 1 Kentucky Oaks and the Grade 1 Preakness Stakes in the same year. She dares the devil, taking the Kentucky Oaks and the Grade 2 Azeri Stakes, and champion Swiss Skydiver, winning the Preakness and the Grade 1 Beholder Mile Stakes. With more exciting prospects on the track and multiple 6-figure sales in the ring, Daredevil's career is just getting started, only at Lane's End.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races. Jonathan Kitchen has left us, had to head to JFK, so safe travels to Jonathan. Greg Wolf, Andy Serling still with you. Maggie Wolfendale and Paula Duca out at Oaklawn. 6th at Aqueduct, and a first-time starter, 19 Oysters taking advantage of a hot pace up front.
Got a perfect trip, but delivered. Was the goods. Got it done today. Congrats, Connection.
Here's another look at it.
Just ran. I mean,
Launch
listen.
control, electric stuff. Going quick up front early.
Nobody else took advantage of the pace, though. I mean, probably not exactly the trip you wanted with the 3 and blowing the turn like that, but got left again and got all the pace in the world to run at, so I can't complain about that. Couldn't even pick up the 4. So a disappointing effort by him. The favorite did finish last, though.
7-1 on this first-time starter. Little bit of pedigree there. That damn was a 5-time minor stakes winning sprinter. And
Paid
now
a lot of
first
money.
out winner.
Paid a lot of money for this horse, $175,000, the 2-year-old sale.
Late.
Doro.
There's our number, at least mild number, in the late pick 5 if you were still alive after a formful first couple of legs. Brisky Frolic single for many. Garabato at 3-1, now 7-1, 19 Oysters. On a race that had, what, was it even money on launch control?
Yeah, I would have singled the first winner and been 0 for the next 2. So glad but I found plenty of places to lose plenty of money in the last other races.
Plenty of time to get it back with the late double.
There's always races. There's no get out. Tomorrow, the next day. It can stink one day and be good the next day. It can be good one day and awful the next.
Back to Oaklawn, race 6. 6 furlongs here, 12-5 maiden claiming race, so bottom level. And that means form severely lacking.
You're going to be shocked to hear this. I smoked out the same horse everybody else did. I've got Chris Hartman off a trainer change from Wayne Catalan. I got this one, same owners, but I sniffed out. That Chris Hartman guy wins to high percentage.
He really does. That's a 5, bit of honey who we'll get to. We start with a 1 here, Cora Mandel for Lindsay Schultz, short leaf stable.
Looking for another win off the trainer change, but this one has no form.
Blue Cowgirl, Alan Milligan trains.
Why is this horse 20-1 and the horse inside is 10-1? Shouldn't this horse be half the price?
At least a drop, right?
Yeah.
For the 1?
Yeah, that's true. I guess that's it. Those Archiebreds now it's not really a drop because going in against opens, Greg.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not as big a drop.
It's not
running
as
a maiden
big,
special with
certainly,
the Archiebreds.
Bit of honey. Here's the favorite at 2-1.
I'm going to take switches to Chris Hartman. I'm in with the public.
Unified Girl, D. Wayne Lucas, David Cabrera.
Did show some life last time out and has run well enough to be a player here.
Here's Mo Silver at 13-1. Randy Morse takes over.
Don't want this horse coming in from out of town.
Yeah, Sam Houston last time out did hit the board, slow race. The 8, Bootlegging Girl.
Oaklawn should not allow this horse to be entered because it rains every time she's entered. Julie, she's run 4 races at Oaklawn. It's been sloppy.
Yeah,
And
look, for this level, too,
everything.
based on what she did last start, she should probably win the race.
I'm not
Canary
sure, but
Nation
somewhere.
Went by 28-1, 25-1 on the 10, Old School Flash.
Yeah, he's had a lot of chances.
And here's Sweet Holiness.
Why is this horse 5-1, Greg? Right, over 21. It's all yours. Ricardo
Santana Jr., I guess.
I guess. Not for me.
And then Fancy Hill outside the 12 at 35-1, not taking any play.
Yeah, why is Cora Mandel getting bet? That's the horse. I mean, do people think this horse is dropping? See, I don't think this horse is dropping. I
it's
think
not as big a drop as people would think. It's a slight, though. It's a slight drop.
maybe. I mean, this horse didn't do any running. Why is horse 9 to 1?
Short-leaf stable horses going to take money, aren't they?
We'll see. Maybe Paul and Maggie have some
9
brilliant
to
idea.
1,
I think the
floating
5's
up now. Let's go to Paul and Maggie for more.
Yeah, you got to get creative in this race, Paul. Yes. We'll start, though, with the Chris Hartman trainee. Making her first start for the barn is Bit of Honey. And she does come in off of a layoff. She looks fit to me, but is she trustworthy?
Well, I mean, it's hard, right? You know, when you come here to Oaklawn, you sort of live by Robertino Diodoro, Brad Cox, and Chris Hartman on these drops. And like I've always said, they're sort of Ricky Bobby horses. Either this horse is going to finish first or last, in my opinion.
I thought that she hasn't shown much speed in her races, but she looked as though she should be quicker, and maybe Chris can put that into her. Let's jump to the inside. Coral Mandel, we see Lindsay Schultz taking over training on this one. We saw this move work for her earlier today. And I mean, how can you like this horse other than the drop? But this is an open 20, too, don't forget.
This is what happens in these opens. You just really don't know when they drop in class. I think maybe the public's looking at Lindsay Schultz, one of the better trainers in the race. No disrespect to some of the others. And I think this horse is getting played maybe just on Lindsay's reputation a tiny bit, but never again. I mean, never underestimate the money that does get played here, because some wise money does get played here at Oaklawn.
And you said to me, Lindsay knows what she's doing. She does. Her horses are really well turned out, and Coral Mandel is another one of those. You mentioned to me Blue Cowgirl. Thought she could be a little bit sneaky. Looking at her in the paddock, I thought she looked good, but weirdly, you know, I thought she was one that might need a little bit more ground to work with. She hasn't shown much speed.
Well, the reason why I'm the kind of guy that looks to look at the will pays come in, and this horse was third in the will pays in the pick threes. And right now we're looking at 31 to 1. It kind of confused me a little bit. Yeah, so maybe this is a horse that somebody liked or might have mispunched or not, but this horse is getting played in the multis.
Okay, the horse, and sometimes this works in these scenarios when you don't have much form to go on, but the horse that looked best was number 7 in here, Mo Silver, her first start for the Randy Morris barn, who has had a winner earlier on the card. Paul, like I said, I cannot recommend her on form, but she by far looked the best of the crew.
Well, I take your word for it. And it seems like the Mo for monies have been the horses that have run well on wet surfaces, so I'm not going to disagree with you. And the horse looked well on the racetrack.
All right, let's see if we can pull off an upset here, Greg.
All right, Maggie, Paulie, thanks. 9 to 5, Bit of Honey. Andy's not going with an upset. He thinks the 5's going to get it done here, but we'll see.
I'm working on a massive dunce cap for the worst opinions of all time on today's card. Horses I've loved haven't lifted a hoof, and horses I haven't liked have won. So, but I'm not betting against Chris Hartman getting a trainer switch. I know it was from Wayne Catalano wins, but not like Chris Hartman. And this horse, just the kind of horse I assume is going to run well here. But listen, it's not like the horse did much running their races, and I get why Wayne Lucas's horse is the second choice, Unified Girl. I don't understand the money for the 1 and 11, but in this field, I guess they got to bet somebody. Right?
And I know, look, plenty of chances for Bootlegging Girl. That's the 8 we talked about. 3 straight muddy tracks, 4 straight actually.
How about Kinchin slipping out right before this race?
Sly of him, wasn't
weasel.
it?
Don't worry, I'll get even.
Can,
be sure of that.
In your eyes, does that last effort from Bootlegging Girl repeat of that? Is that good enough to win or no?
No. Is this horse better in thoroughgraphs than on other speed figures?
I didn't see him for this race.
Oh, okay. No, makes a contender maybe. Let me look at the old pace projector. Pace projector has the 1, 6, and 8 all showing speed. Don't we kind of assume that Bit of Honey will have more speed too, switching to Hartman? Boy, he takes on all comers, doesn't he? Getting this horse in a trainer change. It's cooled off though. It was winning like 40-something%. He's only 36 now.
The 1 showing speed, huh?
According to the pace projector, yes. Well, the horse was involved in some pretty fast paces or off some fast paces. I think that people are mistakenly, and listen, I'm not going to want to say anybody can't win here, and the horse is still 9 to 1 or 8 to 1, but I think people are mistakenly looking at the 1 as being a maiden special to maiden claim or drop down, which effectively she is, but she was running in restricted Arkansas bred races, and this race, while there are a few Arky breds in here, they're mostly Kentucky breds. That makes a big difference.
Not nearly the kind of drop as a open company
Right.
maiden special, the state bred maiden special in Arkansas.
Yeah. I mean, and like, if you look at state bred races, we see it even with New York breds, there isn't always that big a drop down, especially at different times of the year between the maiden special state breds and the maiden claimer state breds. And this one's an opens.
The 11, 0 for 21, and 6-1 on the board. Tells you what kind of race this is.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, I get it, switching to Santana, but Arietta been riding the horse. Wow. Well, if Bit of Honey improves for Hartman, he'll make whatever 9-5 or 8-5, 3-2 now look like a giveaway.
Part of the reason 3-2 is way too short, though, isn't it? At least it's only 2 starts, and obviously the big jump to the trainer that is having one of the better meets of anybody there. Doesn't
it really show and epitomize how much the game has changed? Because trainers, the importance of trainers and certain trainers, you know, I've been around a long time. This nonsense never happened, but I fall for it too. Why not? Guy just wins.
There she is, Stephanie, 34% at the meet, Chris Hartman. And that's the kind of respect you get when you win like that. 3-2 favorite in a field like this with a filly who has done very little running. Vic Stott for the call. Here's race 6.
They're off. Mo Silver and Bootlegging Girl break well. Sweet Holiness and A Bit of Honey close up. Carol Mandel, Unified Girl, Fancy Hill, and Old School Flash are next. Then Altar Girl, followed by Greer Crossing, and the trailer is Blue Cowgirl. Up the backstretch, and the leader is Bid of Honey, who's moved through quickly to take over the lead. And Bid of Honey is running away at this point. She's opened up a 4-length lead on Mo Silver. Carol Mandel moves through from the inside. Unified Girl goes with her. 2 lengths to Sweet Holiness, Bootlegging Girl, Old School Flash, and to the outside Fancy Hill. Blue Cowgirl is next. Then comes Greer Crossing. And Altar Girl is desperately last, and in charge is Bid of Honey. Bid of Honey drifts well off the rail and leads by 5 lengths from Mo Silver, who begins to run after Bid of Honey. Bid of Honey only leads by 2. Mo Silver is catching, and here comes Mo Silver outside of Bid of Honey. Carol Mandel's in with a chance. Old School Flash could do it. Bid of Honey reaching. Mo Silver attacking. Mo Silver and Bid of Honey. Mo Silver puts ahead in front. Bid of Honey, Carol Mandel, Old School Flash. Mo Silver in front. Mo Silver won 1.5 lengths. There are 3 across the track for second. Carol Mandel, Bit of Honey, and Old School Flash.
Bit of Honey like she was going to run off with this race, then starts slipping and sliding in the stretch, and Mo Silver comes and gets her.
She went her first half in 47 and her final quarter in around 28. And Mo Silver coming in from Sam Houston. Couldn't get it done in a maiden 75 at Sam Houston. Got it done today, and that is a training double for Randy Morse.
Yeah, 17-1 here on Mo Silver. Even money favorite defeated.
She looked like she was 2-5 when they were going around the turn, but she stopped.
And Randy Morse had Cactus as well off the claim back in race 3. Take it back to New York when we return. 7th is next. It's approaching the 11-minute mark to post save Grace. 4-5 currently on the board. Mike Maker off the claim. We'll have the inside post. We'll have the post parade when we come back for the feature. Back with you on America's Day at the Races. Early start time tomorrow on our FS2 coverage. Richest race in the world, $20 million on the line. And the Saudi Cup for the 4th edition begins 8 a.m. Eastern once again on FS2. From Riyadh, and it was a local horse who took the money last year, Emblem Road. Will try and go back-to-back against some big names showing up. Can he do it again? Let's go to Lafitte Pincott.
On the eve of the most lucrative race in the sport, the countdown continues to the 4th $20 million Saudi Cup. Last year's edition will be remembered most for 2 reasons. The absolute domination by the Japanese, winning 4 of 6 graded stakes races. Also, the local hero in that massive upset, Emblem Road, taking down the 3rd running of the Saudi Cup. As for the Americans, managing 1 victory, Pinehurst in the Saudi Derby for trainer Bob Baffert. So what about this year's edition? The strength of the American contingent, 7 of them have made the journey, and the first you'll see is Casse. So close last year, just missing by a head in the 13:51 turf sprint. And tomorrow, he gets another shot at the filly who beat him, Songline. The Japanese filly is back to defend her title. Title defense will also take place in the Riyadh Dirt Sprint. Japan's Dancing Prince, trying to go back-to-back, going to be harder this time. Last year, he didn't have to deal with the likes of Elite Power. The reigning champion American sprinter is in Riyadh. Like Casse, trained by Belmont, razor sharp, winner of 5 straight, including that stirring win in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Perhaps the biggest threat to the champ, fellow American sprinters Gunite and Miraz. Gunite could not have been more impressive in his 23 debut at Oaklawn, winning the King Cotton. Trainer Chad Summers of Mind Your Biscuits fame says Miraz is, quote, the fastest horse in America. Bold statement. As for the 2-time Triple Crown winning trainer Bob Baffert, along with his 2 runners in the Saudi Cup, Taba Country Grammar, he's also sent Having a Meltdown, already a 3-time graded stakes winner and 4 of 5 overall. But will he be as effective at this mile distance? Having a Meltdown, major player in the Saudi Derby. All gets started tomorrow night. The Saudi Cup, Fox Sports 2 coverage begins 8 Eastern. Post time for the Saudi Cup, 12:35 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Thank you, Lafitte. Again, 8 a.m. Eastern start time for the coverage from Riyadh. You can catch it on FS2. Back to New York here, race 7 at Aqueduct. 50,000 starter allowance, 1 turn mile. We saw Save Grace, still the 4-5 favorite going to break. Here's Seahorse Doro. We have been left with a 4-horse field here with the scratches.
Yeah, the scratches really took the heart out of this race. You had a shipper, Vodka TD, and an entry out of here. I mean, the thing to like about Seahorse Doro is that she did run races in New York that were good enough to win this. Her recent form out of town, not so good, but she is a new face coming in here, and maybe that makes her appealing. Save Grace, who I picked. The problem with her is Mike Dubb claims this horse with Michael Caruso back in Churchill back in November with Mike Maker, and they don't get to make a start for 3 months. It just feels like, did they really want to give the horse 3 months off? But on the other hand, they're so sharp off the claim, and this horse a new face in here. She's the likeliest winner, but it's hard to get too excited.
We'll have the inside post. Filly that beat her last time out, improved, came back and won an entry-level allowance at Fairgrounds. Even money. Save Grace, Manny Franco from the rail. Post parade feature from Aqueduct when we come back.
An obligatory goes by the ball. Then wins it. Here comes Malathon. Here comes Clariere on the outside, and it's got to be Clariere. Nest, much the best. She won by better than 10 lengths. And Elite Power gets up to win the sprint. Outside it's Malathon coming to the wire. Who's it gonna be? Here's the wire. Oh, the wish has come true. That one's for you, Cody.
Would you believe that champions weren't measured by rings, but by a crown? That the history books were written on dirt? That the greatest of all time was a horse?
He is moving like a tremendous machine.
Experience the magic at this year's Belmont Stakes as we honor the 50th anniversary of Secretariat's legendary Triple Crown triumph. Join the celebration at Belmont Park on Saturday, June 10th. Tickets on sale now at BelmontStakes.com.
Introducing
a stallion, as top class as they come. In 22 career starts, he won or placed in 12 graded stakes, competing in 15 grade ones, earning over $1.7 million. His undisputed speed is evidenced by 7 100-plus Spire speed figures, a 3-time Grade 1 winner, Raging Bull.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program. When shopping for your next race prospect, consider that New York breds start with an advantage. Our New York breds run for serious green. At Saratoga Race Meet, New York bred maidens run for up to $88,000. New York bred allowance horses run for up to $100,000. And New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race. So get back with the program. Seriously.
We're back. America's Day of the Races on FS2, brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Here's the even money favorite in our feature, Save Grace. Mike Maker first off the claim.
Maggie's down at Oaklawn, and Grace is running here. It's probably the worst to beat, but she doesn't have an overlay him on the field on the paper.
Chris Englehart's off the claim, a horse coming off a win.
Yeah, claim from Jimmy Ryerson. Got a good trip to win last time, but has been running competitive numbers.
Matty Over looking for number 2 today, Justin Nyquist.
Yeah, this horse beat a subpar field, claim from Bill Morey. This horse could be forward in here.
And Seahorse Doro to the outside at 9-2.
She's kind of a stranger in the field. Could be a little bit interesting shipping in.
This will be the 5-year-old debut for just a 1-for-16 5-year-old mare coming in. So obviously one of the sharpest barns in the country. Right here, Mike Maker with Save Grace. Start number 2, big drop in class, got to win at Keeneland. Let's go to Mig for more.
All right, guys, and short field here, only 4. The 2 Save Grace stretching out, has shown speed sprinting. From the inside, it does feel like she's probably going to lead them a long way. Looks very, very sharp, too. Very short price. The 3 Dancing Sophia. I think she just needs to kind of hope that they go a little bit quick enough to set up her run. To me, she doesn't have a lot of natural speed, but she's got races that certainly are good enough. And then the 4 horse is the one that could keep the 2 horse honest here, Justin Nyquist. Laid up close or pretty moderate pace. Last time, this is a much tougher group, though.
All right, Mig, thanks. 2 minutes to post here coming up as we get another look here at Seahorse Doro. Coming in from Parks, been training at Parks as well, as we get back to the favorite and Save Grace.
Yeah, here she is finishing second in her last start at Churchill Downs. There's really not much to say. Was claimed from a good trainer in Nacho Correas. She ran a couple figures that are okay. You don't really know. It's hard to believe. You think Mike Dubb, who's as sharp a claiming owner as you can find, probably claimed this horse said, I can do well with this horse in the winter in New York, which doesn't mean she's not going to make her first start for 3 months. So obviously there's some issues getting there. It's not that surprising. She only run 3 times in her career. Having said that, she shows up today, and it's a trainer that's been winning a lot of races for connections that are sharp. I picked her. I wouldn't bet her at 3-5, but I don't have a case for somebody else in here with the scratches. I made doubles. I'd like a horse a little in the next race, and I made a small backup with the 6.
And at least, back to the 2, she's lightly raced, and there's still some upside there with her.
Sure. And with these connections, you often see that upside. But on the other hand, she's 3-5. And it's not like she has any kind of massive edge over these horses in the figures she's run. You're assuming that she's going to improve for her new connections. And I don't feel like 3 months is a good sign for that. I picked her. I'm not picking against her. But I think 3-5 is a little hard to swallow. Is that fair?
It's pretty short.
Yeah.
You're facing a multiple winner next door as well. And she's not only a multiple winner, just one last time out.
And she doesn't have any kind of speed figure edge you look at. You're strictly assuming this horse is going to run better for these connections, which she may well do. But you're taking 3-5 to do it. At Oaklawn, the assumption was that the 5 was going to run better for Chris Hartman. Well, she ran better for some of the race, but not enough to get you the money. And by the way, good call on Maggie, who had the long shot winner as her paddock play. I should have been smart enough to play it. I could have got some of my money back for my horrible opinions today.
Yeah, nice call. 17 to 1 shot there.
Yep. I'm assuming Paulie got rich. He must be treating tonight. He would treat anyway. He's Paulie.
He would.
He would. He's
very
the man.
generous.
He is. He is. He's the man.
So save great, not just the and you look. It's this barn. It's lightly raced, one at Keeneland, but speed too from the inside. I mean, she should control, right?
Well, I mean, she probably is, but Justo Nyquist is not that slow. She's not that fast. I mean, remember something. A 22 first quarter at Churchill at 6 furlongs is not that fast. And her prior race started with that fast. I would assume for these connections, having the rail and Manny Franco, they're looking to come out running. But it's not like she's shown some kind of blazing speed. 22 there is like 22 and 4 in a normal place. They go 21 and 1 there. So I'm a little skeptical, and I got to think Maddie Oliver's going to go with Justo Nyquist. And she's buzzing off her big win last time. The parents are here. It's kind of cool. Parents are here. She won the big
Great
race.
to get a win with your family on hand to be able to witness it for that young apprentice. So we'll see if the 4 does try and put some pressure here on this too early. There's Maddie trying to get win number 2 on this Friday card. Let's go upstairs feature on this Friday afternoon from Aqueduct. Chris Griffin, the call.
Hold on. All set. And they're off. Good break for Save Grace, right to the inside and goes right to the front. And Save Grace is in command, is up by a full length. Up on the outside is Seahorse Doro is now going to apply pressure as Manny Franco's trying to back off the early tempo just off of them. That's Justo Nyquist, who's going to drop down towards the inside, is going to challenge towards the inside of those early pace setters, and the Triller at the back of the field of 4. That's Dancing Sophia. They work up the backstretch, and there is pressure on the front end. Save Grace is a neck in front. The rail is shut off there. Justo Nyquist will have to wait for room. Just gets passed by Seahorse Doro, who holds that second position. They went 24 and 2 for the opening quarter mile. Dancing Sophia, Dilla Davis in the red cap. They're progressing out wide. Save Grace is hugging the rail and has the lead. They approach a half mile left to go. It's all Save Grace right now. Trying to keep up from second is Seahorse Doro. Here's the main danger. Dancing Sophia's ranging up on the outside, is coming after the leader now. Losing some ground was Justo Nyquist. They went 47 and 4 for that half mile time. Save Grace has got the lead. Dancing Sophia is in pursuit, and Dancing Sophia is put ahead in front. It's Dancing Sophia. Save Grace is still there, is trying to come back to the inside. Off of them is Seahorse Doro. Justo Nyquist will have to pass the 3 in front as they reach a quarter mile left to go. Dancing Sophia now kicks for home. It's Dancing Sophia who's up by a full length, now a length and a half. Save Grace is trying to re-rally up on the outside with Seahorse Doro. Justo Nyquist. It's Dancing Sophia who's got the jump and is now 5 lengths clear. Dancing Sophia is just striding away here. 16th to go, and it is all Dancing Sophia. Much the best here in today's 7th. Dancing Sophia gets the score. Seahorse Doro second, then came Save Grace, and Justo Nyquist in 1 minute 38.99 seconds.
The only multiple winner in the field adds a third here. Dancing Sophia, back-to-back wins.
Absolutely just smashed the field. An Hour the Best is a 3-2 second choice. Dylan Davis, we saw his sister Jackie win earlier on the card. Dylan gets the win here, and Save Grace was a terrible third here. Manny went the lead. She just had absolutely no horse. She drifted to 4 to 5. She was overbet, and she had nothing.
Huge separation here from your winner and the rest of this group. Dancing Sophia, no question. Dylan Davis trying to reel in another riding title right there with Manny Franco. Chris Engelhardt off the claim for Epona Racing Stable. And 3-2 is your second choice on the board in the 7th. Well, the prices for you when we come back. Stay tuned. More America's Day at the Races right after this timeout.
Eclipse champion Blame, standing at Claiborne Farm.
We're back at America's Day at the Races on FS2. More coming up from Oaklawn. Take a look at the odds for race 7 here, 2-turn mile. Condition claiming race, fillies, mares, 3 and up. Let's go to Maggie standing by with a special guest.
Here with the winningest and Hall of Famer trainer in North America, Steve Asmussen. And Steve, let's talk about your horses tomorrow. Sending out 3 in the Rebel. We'll start with Gun Pilot. I know he would have a perfect record if it wasn't for finishing second to Verifying, but I know that you guys were in quarantine. And do you think that had an effect on possibly settling for a runner-up finish that time?
Well, it definitely had an effect on him. He's a very big horse, large, carries a lot of weight. The weather definitely turned once we were in quarantine and weren't able to. Racetrack was closed more than you would have liked it. I thought he got a lot out of the race, but I thought the most important thing about when he came back off of that is he settled and finished up. You know, he had shown a lot of speed in his first 2 races, but he handled extremely well in his most recent victory. Obviously, jumping off into a lot different company, but I think that'll be necessary for him to have success tomorrow.
He's an exciting prospect, but one that is a little bit more battle-tested is Red Route 1, finishing second to the leader of the division right now, an Arabian Nights. Is this his time to step up into the spotlight?
Well, it is. I think as the races go further, it'll benefit him. I was hoping to catch a fast racetrack with him, you know, just get a little bit more honest read going forward with it, but obviously with him running as solid as he did in the Southwest, wanted to give him a chance back here in the Rebel.
You'll also send out Powerful, but I want to turn my attention to the filly and the Honeybee as Grand Love, making her first start as a 3-year-old. Last saw her in the Breeders' Cup. Is distance a question mark, Steve?
I think it's going to be well within her as soon as she relaxes some. She needs to temper her aggressions and enthusiasm. Good way of putting it. But you know, she was probably, I believe, the only sub-45 half-mile as a 2-year-old at Saratoga. So we need to get her just to settle down and to show her best side. But obviously an extremely talented filly, you know, big, beautiful filly. And nervous about the weather with her in the off racetrack. Just so much about it would, I think, like we talked about, we need her to just take a deep breath, relax a little bit, and let her ability take over.
Well, looking forward to seeing her coming back, and best of luck with your 3 in the Rebel. And as always, thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Saw him get to number 10,000 on our air last week. Incredible moment in this sport.
He's just 10 shy of 11,000 already.
He wins at an incredible rate. It took about a year and 4 months to get from 94.46 to 10,000.
Records are made to be broken. I don't know how it's possible that his record when he retires will be broken, because he'll probably win another 4,000 to 5,000 races.
I agree.
It's just too much.
The
numbers don't add up.
Lady Dwayne Lucas from the inside.
My comment at the beginning of this race was I have absolutely no clue in this race. I couldn't figure it out. I guess she's not impossible off her second place finish.
Ipsum Gratis just claimed 2 back, went by, and here's the 3 West Side Girl.
I guess they're betting the 2 because they're racing a muddy track. She gets claimed in all of her starts, so I suppose anything's possible.
Black Cat taps at 10-1.
She was a little tough to take. Not great numbers stretching out for this trainer.
First try on a wet track, former West Coast runner, Midnight's Girl.
Yeah, she's moving up in class off a win, which is not an easy thing to do.
Speed with Waterworks, Steve Asmussen, 8-5 favorite.
And with a scratch of Prince of Dream, or whatever, the 5, this horse becomes the possible loose speed, makes her the horse to beat.
Big number, Sam Houston. Last start, we just saw Sam Houston runner win.
Back-to-back Sam Houston's
Russia on the outside. Tim Dixon claimed 7-1.
Why is this turf-running New York bred running at Oaklawn? It's just bizarre, right?
It is. Let's go to Paulie for more.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, a very confusing race here in race number 7 with the scratches of the 5, 6, and 7 in here. And when you look at the board, you do see the 9 Waterworks as your favorite. And yeah, I think Ricardo Santana is going to be on the engine. Like you guys said, we just saw a horse from Sam Houston win. The competition there is good in Texas. So I would think they're going to try to go to the front end and hold on and see if they can keep on going. You know, in the next race, I know Andy will remember this, but Mahamo is in the next race, and what a trip he had. So if you're looking for a late pick 3, I thought the one in the next race could be a standout, although it might be a tougher race. Some other runners in here I thought were interesting. Was it 2 in here? Ipsen Gratis, just missed last time by a nose, according to Maggie. I was just talking to her offset. She thought the 2 looked very well on the racetrack. Now, I know the horse wheels back very quickly, but February 11th, but seems like can maybe stay in that stalking position and stay close enough maybe to Waterworks. Now on your screen you're seeing West Side Girl for Greg Compton. This horse is the horse that's the hot horse, at least when it comes to the will pace. Second choice to the 9. Compton has been great off the claim. He puts Arietta up, and a son of Shanghai Bobby is getting played here at 7-2, and so is the one Mohe Lady. Dwayne Lucas and Michaela Michelle have pulled off a couple upsets at this meet, Greg. Most of the time it's been trying to get towards the front end. We'll see what happens, because I just don't see anybody outrunning the 9 around the racetrack. It's just a matter if Ricardo Santana can keep this horse together all the way around the racetrack.
8-5 favorite, Paulie. Thanks. Waterworks. I mean, this horse had shown some. It's not just Sam Houston. This horse has shown ability. To be fair.
No, I was joking because 1-1. But I will say something. Look at how much worse this horse's race is at Oaklawn, the kind of figures ran at Sam Houston and Remington Park. Is that fair?
Yeah, but this is an easier group.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
And with the 5 being scratched, this horse becomes the main speed. I don't have a position against this horse with the scratches in the race, but I don't trust this horse either coming in. Just because we saw a Sam Houston horse win doesn't mean that suddenly you should be moving up Sam Houston horses. In general, the Remingtons and Sam Houston horses, they're running against tougher horses. On the other hand, you have the horse inside of her. You have the horse outside of Russia, who's 7-1 and should be 27-1. Midnight's Girl, she won a non-winners of 2 lifetime, and now she's moving up in class and in claiming price and into winners of 3. But I don't know where else you're supposed to go here, right? West Side Girl, maybe?
That's the
know.
3.
I mean, it's hard to be too optimistic about too many players in this race.
Yeah, I can't. It's tough to get excited about West Side Girl. Does have an okay showing, especially at Oaklawn in the mud.
Right.
There's a win on an off track.
But she's just, she was horrible at 3-2 in her last start. I couldn't find a big excuse there. I'm grasping at straws
And
here.
Waterworks obviously wants to be forward.
She's got to go. She's got to be in front.
Does Ipsen Gratis, the 2, can that one put any pressure? Huge help with a 5 coming out. I guess that's why there's short price on the
right. No, but you're right. The 2 Ipsen Gratis could absolutely be speed in here if Saez wants to be aggressive.
Vic Stauffer with the call. Here's the 7th Oaklawn.
They're off. Midnight's Girl and Waterworks broke well. Ipsum Gratis, West Side Girl are next, then Mohe Lady and Black Cat Taps, and the trailer is Russia. Midnight's Girl and Waterworks broke 1-2. They're at that position at the clubhouse turn, and Midnight's Girl leads by 2. Waterworks content to sit second at this point, a length and a half to Ipsum Gratis and Black Cat Taps. Then West Side Girl and Mohe Lady. They've got 4 lengths to make up, and they're a length in front of Russia. They turn into the backstretch. Finish line is the 16th pole, and Midnight's Girl is the leader. She's drifted well off the rail in about the 2.5 path with Waterworks poised just outside of her. These 2 continue 1-2. 3 now back to Ipsum Gratis. Then comes Black Cat Taps. Mohe Lady is at the rail. 5th with 5 lengths to make up. The 2 trailers are Russia, and West Side Girl. They leave the backstretch. Midnight's Girl and Waterworks. They continue to race 1-2. No excuses for either one of them. Midnight's Girl a half length. Waterworks is sent after her in second. Ipsum Gratis could still do this. She's 3rd at the rail in less than 2 from the front. She actually looks like she's doing better than Waterworks. Waterworks is under a very heavy ride from Santana. Meanwhile, Midnight's Girl is the one to catch at the top of the stretch. Ipsum Gratis is 2nd. Waterworks could still do it. She's in the center in 3rd. Top of the stretch, Midnight's Girl leads. Ipsum Gratis, Waterworks. Now stretch runners are coming. One of them is Black Cat Taps and one of them is West Side Girl. And Ipsum Gratis has taken over the lead. Midnight's Girl Girl, Moyhay Lady, Ipsum Gratis, Midnight's Girl, Moyhay Lady, Ipsum Gratis. Ipsum Gratis won by 2. Moyhay Lady got up into second. Midnight's Girl was third. Waterworks finished fourth.
Ipsum Gratis up the inside for the victory. Norm McKnight second off the claim.
I couldn't add this horse. Congratulations, you did. Got a very nice ride. You were talking about this horse being aggressive. Well, got good position. I guess Santana didn't feel any sense of urgency with Waterworks. Was content to stalk. This horse did not want to stalk. Midnight's Girl went to the front. I mean, Waterworks was awful in here. We talked about it. Just because one horse won from Sam Houston doesn't mean you want him from Sam Houston in general. And Ipsum Gratis gets it done.
Appreciating the off going here. Now 2 wins in 5 tries on an off track for Ipsum Gratis, 9-2 on a pick 5 that's included a 17-1 shot as well. This late pick 5 at Oaklawn, as it often can be, looking at extremely lucrative if you're still alive. Back to New York, and the Winner's Circle lead-in brought to you by the Fasig-Tipton Digital, North America's #1 digital auction platform for thoroughbreds. Fasig-Tipton Digital, the newest from the oldest. Learn more at digital.fasig-tipton.com. It's Dancing Sophia, back-to-back wins now. 3 wins overall. She's 3 for 5 at Aqueduct.
And Dylan Davis adds a win. Perfect trip. She won at 3-2, and she won like she should have been 1-2. Absolutely annihilated the field.
This was this is the most dominant performance any track we've seen today.
That seems fair. That seems fair.
Long ways back. Dylan Davis for Chris Engelhardt, Epona Racing Stable. And $5 on the win. And look, this was a decimated field with scratches. 5s are coming back. Very nice.
Well, it's
with
a tough sequence.
A 7-1 shot in there, basically.
Yeah, it's a tough sequence. But yeah, well, it just showed once again, 3-5, 3-2 in a 4-horse field. But that's not what it takes. It's a question of the other prices. You don't. That's one of the reasons that this mentality of leaving out short-priced horses. Every decision in a pick 5 is relative to the decisions you're making in other races, but allowing yourself to lose when short-priced horses win in one leg, when you like a bigger price in any other legs, is not the way you are supposed to play these things. I don't care what anybody says.
Again, tomorrow, richest race in the world, $20 million Saudi Cup. Live coverage from Riyadh begins 8 a.m. Eastern tomorrow with Lafitte Pinkai, who has more.
This place was rocking for several minutes after last year's Saudi Cup. King Abdulaziz Racecourse in Riyadh, site of a rich strike-sized upset in the 3rd Saudi Cup. We've seen a little of everything in the first 3 runnings of this event. Americans running 1-2 in the inaugural event, Maximum Security and Midnight Bijou. The European turf star, Mishrif, winning in 21, and last year, Emblem Road, the hometown hero, becoming the first Saudi-based winner of the Saudi Cup. And that's what the hometown crowd wants to know. Can Emblem Road do it again? Prince Saud bin Salman's Emblem Road had only raced twice since last year's Saudi Cup. A loss on grass in France last July, powerful victory in an allowance prep mid-January. Now, what would a second victory in the Saudi Cup mean for Emblem Road? Not much. He'd only become the richest horse in thoroughbred history. Emblem Road is by American Stallion Quality Road, as is Prince Saud bin Salman's other runner, Scotland Yard, formerly trained by Steve Asmussen. Scotland Yard could not win in the U.S. That was then, and this is now. Purchased with this race in mind, Scotland Yard has rattled off 3 straight on this track. Look, he's got the pedigree. His mother, Leslie Harmony, half-sister to 4-time champion Beholder, Into Mischief, and Mendelssohn. Tomorrow's Saudi Cup also means a second chance for jockey Alexis Moreno. Panamanian-born rider had to choose between 2 horses last year, Emblem Road or Making Miracles. In the end, he made the wrong choice and had to watch another jockey win a $20 million race on a horse he could have ridden. Tomorrow night, Moreno will ride Emblem Road in what would be the biggest win of his career. The Saudi Cup tomorrow on Fox Sports 2. Coverage begins 8 Eastern. The golden hour starts at noon.
Lafitte, thank you. He will be there with our live coverage tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern start time, once again on FS2. Saudi Cup $20 million race. And we talked earlier in the program about the American contingent, all those races coming up. We'll see if this is a start of a huge 4-year-old campaign for Taiba.
Yeah, I think Taiba is likely to be the best older horse in the country this year, but we'll see. Other horses are around, and we'll see what he does tomorrow, and hopefully we'll see him in our Met Mile on Belmont Stakes Day.
Baffert has said if it's not Taiba, it's Country Grammar. He is confident going in with a strong hand, including last year's runner-up. We are back tomorrow with our coverage from Saudi at 8 a.m. Eastern start time on until 7 o'clock on FS2 and Valley Sports SoCal San Diego from 4 to 6. Taiba could be the start of big things and potentially a Horse of the Year campaign in that Saudi Cup. Verifying for Brad Cox will draw the rail. Can he improve off a big 3-year-old debut for Brad Cox and reincarnate? Moving to Tim Yachteen's barn. He will line up against Verifying in the Rebel. We will have live coverage tomorrow from Oaklawn.
Dancer. The momentum continues with recent stakes winners on turf and dirt. Dancing Buck going wire to wire in the Grade 3 Belmont Turf.
Dancing Buck has opened up on the field. It is Dancing Buck by a half-dozen lengths.
And 2-year-old filly War Saichi with a wire-to-wire win in the Ladyfinger Stakes.
War Saichi asserted her authority immediately out of the starting gate, and she has not relinquished the lead.
War Dancer, the #1 third-crop turf sire in North America. Proud to stand in New York.
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. And the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn.